I'm the baddest brother that you never heard of.
Let the wild rumpus start.
That's what I'm talking about. LWO Radio, the show where we got the most go. This is my boy Max quoting the famous Where the Wild Things Are. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Way to get us started on this most epic of episodes. That's right. Max wanted to join us. He wanted to take part of the legendariness. And, you know, as a dad, as many of us are, I say, why not let him in? Welcome, legends. Such an exciting evening ahead. Obviously, we don't want to be here, but we are here. We're in the moment. A big weekend, a big anniversary, a big episode of LWO Radio. As usual, I'm joined by the co-host with the mo-host. I love that saying. It just flows. Mr. 74, Scotty Rimek from Langford, BC. How's it going, Scotty?
I've been laying around here kind of mad at everyone, complaining about the smallest thing to anyone that'll listen. And I've been drinking so much that it would probably make Andre the Giant just shake his head. And on top of all of that, this damn coronavirus thing pops up after all that. I mean, it's been a tough couple of weeks. How about you, Holla?
I tell you what, this COVID-19 thing, it surprised me yesterday. Normally I just stay home and drink beer, but now I have to stay home and drink beer. And actually, I got to say, as much as I like it, I like it. So
it all started from Andy Sales too. Remember, like early in December, Andy Sales brought this thing over.
Andy Sales had COVID-19 and Benjamin Buttons.
Yes, both.
He had them both.
Yeah, same time.
You heard it here first, boys. LWO Radio, a place where you hear the news, you hear the stories, you hear from legends. Before we get into the action, our theme song by the Nessmans, Microphone. Big thanks to the Nessmans. Check out the link below if you want to listen to them on SoundCloud. It's got the whole album there. Of course, last week we had Koski from the Nessmans on the show, debuted The Legends Attack. Epic soundtrack. I've been listening to it all week, minus the recorder solo, because that's hard on the ears after a while, especially if you guys are wearing headphones. So just an epic episode last week. On the story of episodes and on the history of episodes, we had some reviews come in. This one from Bartman. Thanks, boys. Legendary. Very simple, to the point. Bartman, thank you. I hope you're tuning in tonight. I haven't looked in the chat yet, but I'm sure you're there. Appreciate it as always. The Champ, Holla, Scotty T. Roy, Koski, Britchie, all legends. Thank you. Very simple from the Champ. And the last review that came in from Keelan, actually, of all people. I've seen marathons run in less time than the Legends of Hockey episode of LWO Radio. Note that both ended in cramps. So thank you for that, Keelan. Obviously, we made that up. Keelan didn't actually say that, but that's part of the fun of LWO Radio, is that Scotty and I have got the calm. We can just basically say whatever we want, and we do. And it's recorded.
Well, I mean, it's preparation is nothing. Like on any other show, they work super hard, and until now, I've really mailed it in. I'm not gonna lie, and it shows. It really shows. But this week, I tried really hard. Like I really tried hard. Like I vacuumed my office. I went poop before the episode, not during this time. I even took notes. That's pretty good, hey? Like I'm ready to go.
I think after seeing your notes that basically anyone can do it. So your mission tonight is to prove that you're not anyone. You are the legendary Scotty T. Rimek, LWO 74. I got to say, this week has been an epic week for LWO Radio. And believe me, we're going to get to tonight's show, but I got to make mention of something. All 4 of our previous episodes have passed 1,000 views. This has blown all of our wildest dreams. I can't walk down the street without being recognized. I know many of the guests that have been on, same thing. Our guest tonight, I hope you're in for the onslaught, autograph sessions, ladies sending you their panties. It's all happening here. That's what it's like to be on LWO radio. But over 1,000 views is impressive. But one thing that has let me down is last episode had the fewest thumbs up. So that's that little thumb down below in YouTube. We have 50 subscribers now. We only had 19 thumbs up last week. Kind of a disappointment. It was a low point in LWO radio history. So right now, chat, get on it. Get down there and hit that thumbs up, please. I want to see that climbing. We got to beat 19. Let's do it. I got to give a shout out to the stream before I intro my guests as well. Ryder Petch, first one in the stream. All good. Coolio, he's here. Coolio's here. He knows what time it is. Bremner was pre-funking. Great to see you out there, Bremner. Brian Major. The Predator, who got a bit of a shout out last week. Predator, great to see you in the chat. We've got the Honey Badger. Yeah, it isn't Vernon, but we're gonna make the best of it, and that's the way we roll sometimes. Mac Daddy seems pumped. The all caps is what's done it for him. We've got Bebbles, shout out Max, nice one. Monty was pre-funking in the Zoom. Great to see you, Monty. And I know, Dalek, you're listening in as well. I'm sure you're out there, so shout out to you, my friend. A few people here. We've got BJC Gardner just checking in. And Reed, a YouTube channel. That's right. I like how he's asked what the craziness is now. Reed, you wait 3 hours from now.
Yeah, when I'm covered in urine, you'll understand.
This is going to be crazy. One last guy to shout out. Look at this guy, Hawk Carl. First time checking in. Carl, we're going to need you to weigh in on a fairy story in a bit. But again, your time will come. Great to see you. Okay, we've shouted out the chat. We've encouraged them to hit the thumbs up. We're 7 minutes in. That's way too long to wait to introduce some guests. Tonight, a very special episode as we relive the glory of the two-time champions of 2019. Our episode, Divide and Conquer, should be a rallying call for all LWO legends everywhere. We are reliving it. And by not playing this weekend, we get to go another year as two-time champions, which is
hell yeah, we do.
It's true. We had to get some of the best guys from last year's tournament involved. Talking about our guests tonight, a few guys that had epic turnouts, and you know what, the whole panel tonight had some involvement in one way or another. But let me start with a guy who has experienced rapid hair growth during self-quarantine, self-isolation. A guy who was growing a mustache up until a couple weeks ago, and then once he saw britches, he lost it, I'm assuming. A guy who has been a part of an LWO since I don't know when, over 15 years, let's say that. A guy that we like to call Mike Perry. Perry, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Holla. How are you doing, buddy?
Well, obviously I'm living the dream. I'm here with all you legends, and I'm not spending extra time with my family. How's it going? Tell me about that hair. What's going on there?
It's a bit of a genetic problem, actually. My hair grows faster than any human I have ever met. But yeah, the barbers are closed. Actually, I go to a salon, but barbers are closed and salons are closed. So I'm just left with this. Yeah, not much else to say about it. Just letting her fly.
Letting her fly. I like it. Every time I go on YouTube, I get prompted with an ad for pubic trimmers. I can hook you up if you want. We could send you some clippers.
I would appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm torn because it just is so lovely. It is, and lovely is the best term I can think of. But
is pubic hair?
Yeah.
His hair. His hair in general.
Thank you.
Life's
going well here. Living the dream here in Abbey. Obviously would love to be in a van. I was saying to the boys in the pre-chat here, love to be on my way to Vernon and seeing the family that we know as the LWO. And yeah, it's different, but you know what? We're making the most of it, and it's good to be a part of this. I appreciate you having me on.
We are so glad to have you. We look forward to some of your stories. I know when we were talking about tonight's episode, there were a couple stories I didn't even remember, which is no surprise. So we'll get into it in a bit, Perry. So great to have you on. The next guy, a guy who has a legendary half brother in the Jason Bremner, a one half of the Glanville twins, a guy from the Puddle, a guy who had numerous contributions to LWO before last year, but really scored a big goal in 2019 that basically carried the Legends to a wave of victory. I'm talking about a guy who won a scarf a couple episodes ago. RG, how are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well, Holla. Happy to be on. Yeah.
Tell me about life in during a global pandemic. What have you been doing to stay busy?
Yeah, well, I'm in New Westminster right now, and yeah, it's been okay. The kids are a little restless. It's tough. The salons are also shut down in New West, so but I think in a couple weeks things might start opening up. So yeah, just trying to sort of stay sane. Yeah, upping my alcohol intake like Scotty as well. But yeah, just really kind of been counting down the days for this as well. So happy to be here, Holla.
I love it. I love it. And we have one comment already talking about the fact that you are the proud owner of a Wayne Gretzky toaster, which I recall was a man of the match award from T Money from 2018. So are you still using can we get an update on the Wayne Gretzky toaster?
Yeah.
Still using it?
Yeah, no, I was wondering if I was going to be asked about that, but yeah, so we tried it out, I think the morning after, and it's amazing just how closely it resembles Wayne's face, the great one. So yeah, we kind of keep it in the appliance drawer and bring it out for special occasions. I don't want it to be ruined or anything. It just
Special
that was
toast
sort of
occasions. I like that.
So Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, basically big family.
Right. It's kind of, we
dinners.
keep it with the fine china.
I love it. That's great. I know if no one else asked, I know T Money would be curious as to the fate of that toaster. So thank you for updating the legions of legends worldwide on the fate of the Wayne Gretzky toaster.
Yeah.
Good.
You bet.
Good. Well, welcome to the show. Lastly, I don't even know where to start with this one. A man who often talks about impersonating an ATM in the beer gardens in Vernon, either to dispense cash or for the human interaction. I'm not really 100% certain because every time I talk to him about it, I am hammered drunk. A guy who is broadcasting live right now. Legends, check this out. From the Man Van. A guy who is a friend to all and a legend to most. Adamizer, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Holla. It's like a dream come true. Other than being in Vernon would be the best thing around the way. But hey, if I can sit in the van with a few legends, then that's a good place to be anyways.
Let's talk about the Man Van there that you've got in the background.
Before we start, I just want to acknowledge we saw Hot Carl on there, and I just reached into my LWO bag and I found this. And if you remember this, Carl, we had a little conversation at the bar on Saturday for Lake Hill with guys like Scotty and Holla and Mac and Brem. And you came back, and I should almost rip this up right now because you went to base. But anyways, let's carry on. I found that in my bag, and I saw Carl's name, and I thought I'd put it out there.
He pebbled us. That's bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
He pebbled us.
Maybe he'll come crawling back. We'll see.
Hot Carl.
But anyways,
maybe it was the Man Van ride home that turned Carl off. Although to be fair, and I know we're going to cover this later, the middle row threw down pretty hard. Wasn't the only thing we threw. But again, I'm sure we'll get to it. But let's talk about the Man Van there. I noticed a few legendary faces there. Looks like I see Jose.
Yeah. So we've got Spilly wearing his tie the way he is. Spilly's a good guy to have in the Man Van. He's got some great stories to tell. You know, I've been entertained for the last hour about some of the stuff that's been happening in, Whistler and things like that. I got Jose. Jose makes it all the way all the time for these things. So great to have Jose with us. In the back, you'll see if I go this way, old school is doing some carving, I think. I don't know if it's walking sticks or something else that he gives to the ladies. It could be that, but he's back there. Benny's also in the back this time. You'll notice.
Dangerous move. That's a dangerous move.
And so you may see some sneeze puking in the back tonight. I don't know, but I thought it might be entertaining. I just want to also say, though, Benny always wants to go in the front. But if we remember back to, we talked about Williams Lake episodes. We talked about playing in high school, traveling around. Benny was not in the front of the bus. It was two little twin twerps in the front of the bus causing shit. And Benny was in the back of the bus. And so I know Benny can take it. And RG knows what I'm talking about. And anyways, so he's back there. There's one other person. You probably can't see him because he's just a little shorter than most.
He's behind the headrest.
Behind the headrest. Brad Poulis. And
Dr.
Poulis missed Vernon this year, which was actually unfortunate because Lebs actually, I think, took something in the eye, didn't he? And he was out for a while. And luckily we had an optometrist as well. The one time your ophthalmologist doesn't come to the tournament.
The dreaded bruised cornea.
Yeah, the bruised cornea. That's right.
If only we had had an eye doctor there.
So we've been having a good time in the man van. We just stopped at the Shell at Hope, having a good time at Bridal Falls.
All right.
Yeah. They have a lot of good stuff there.
Does it still smell like pee? I know a lot of our viewers want to know.
Does the van still smell like pee?
Yeah.
No, the Shell.
We hosed it down. It took about a month to dry. A lot of blow dryers and stuff, but it's all good.
I love it. Well, Adamizer, thanks for joining the show. We're excited. I've given you the mic twice now, and you've thrown down both times. So nice work, my friend. Chat's going nuts. I love it. I mean, everyone's just getting involved. They love the man van. Pretty legendary. In a show that always has the first episode broadcast from a moving vehicle on its way to Vernon. Pretty epic. Our next segment, before we actually get into the episode sponsor and the dedication, I think we need to settle a challenge. And last week, as you recall, we had the Legends of Hockey on, Bridgie and Koski and T Money threw down, but they challenged you boys to a boat race. And as I recall, and chat's got to keep me honest tonight as a neutral, they did their boat race in 20 Mississippis, which is, that's a lot of Mississippis. Adam, I'm just going to say we're not measuring in Missouris or Louisianas tonight. It's going to be Mississippis. I don't want you guys I don't want you guys to feel like you need to scoop this or make it a bit different. But all week, the Legends of Hockey have been unbeaten with their personal record. Thanks, T Money. So this is our chance, boys, to throw down the 2019 champions. I got to say, no matter who wins, we're all winners when it comes to serious intoxication on YouTube.
I'm a winner, for sure. 100% I'm a winner.
One thing I'm going to do, as I did last week, we want to keep it basically the same. So I'm going to crack a beverage here, and I am going to chug it, and I'm going to do it out of the can again. That was a terrible plan last week, but we got to keep the entire situation has to be the same. So I'm going to do the same this week. I'm going to chug this beer. Scotty, you're in charge. When I come back, we'll do the boat race.
So I hope everyone's doing well. I think we're about to drink here in a second. So who's our first one up? We'll find out. Jesus Christ, Holla.
Doing it out of the can is a terrible plan, but I did it last week. The chat called me out. Did it again this week. And yeah, it's just sitting right there.
You got some Mississippis in there?
Yeah, for me, it's not a race. It's just, I just would feel terrible if all of my guests and my co-hosts drank beer and I didn't. So I did it for the street cred, and I'm hoping chat will have my back on this. It's not that impressive when a 40-something-year-old tries to chug a beer, does chug the beer, but it takes 48 seconds. But that's the way we roll. So have we decided? I think what we decided pre-show on the boat race is that Perry was going to lead us. So Perry, you're gonna be first out of the gates. Then we're going to go to you, Adamizer, in the man van. I don't condone drinking in a moving vehicle, but so be it.
All good.
That's that beer. And then I'd like to go to you, RG, in the third spot. And just like last week, Scotty Too Hottie has got a case of the giggles right now. He's going to be the anchor. All right. So I think here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go. Perry, we're going to go to you. I'm going to get my beer sorted as well. Let me see. All right. Perry, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
RG, you are ready. You're going third.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Adamizer, you're in the 2 spot. You ready?
Ready.
Scotty, you're born ready.
It's looking hotty.
Oh, you took my words.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi,
Oh,
9
boy.
Mississippi, 10 Mississippi,
Come on, boys.
11 Mississippi, 12 Mississippi,
Get
13 Mississippi, 14 Mississippi, 15 Mississippi, 16 Mississippi, 17 Mississippi, 18 Mississippi, 19 Mississippi, 20 Mississippi. Whoa! Hold on here. I didn't get the 20th Mississippi out. I think we got new champion.
Oh, boy.
Holy.
Right here.
Celebrate right here, boys. Come on.
Scotty saved the. I did not think you guys were going to do that when I went to Scotty, but Scotty, that 2 Mississippi drink. T Money, I think you're right. I think they just got us. I think those guys just got the hockey boys. 20 miss. It's not 20 Mississippi. Nice work to Koski and Britchie last week. Great work to the legends this week. Adamizer, RG, and Perry. Of course, T Money, good stuff as well. I think we all win. So why don't we cheers that, boys? You guys have done well. Right. Moving on, 22 minutes in, we are 100% breaking 3 hours tonight. But that's what I think that's what the legends want in the chat. Let's move on. Now it's time to do our episode dedication. I get a little sneak peek there. Let me do a share screen. A guy who has been involved with LWO from the very start, and when we were thinking about guys to dedicate this episode to, a guy who, as far as I know, and as T Money had mentioned to me, a guy who was one of the not just one of the original members of LWO, but one of the guys who thought about coming to Vernon May Long weekend, and has easily clocked the most amount of miles coming to LWO tournaments. Of course, I'm talking about this week's episode dedication. Joe Jose Sawada, as Champ would say, I might say it wrong. He ain't no sheesh. Joe, here's to you. Thanks for everything that you do. Appreciate you being a legend. This episode is dedicated to you. And thank you as well for enabling Beer Tap technology, as well as, all the times you've helped fundraise for the boys. Appreciate it. So here's to you, Joe Sawada.
That guy can shoot a basketball too. He's like,
look at that,
Jose Bird.
Look at that picture. I mean, there's a lot going on there. I think we've got the original Vernon over 35s tournament with the Kill 'em All shirts in the bottom left there. We got Joe looking, that picture provided by the Champ in his episode. Joe looking pretty fine in there. I think we can all agree and have a drink to Joe. So nice work.
I think
All right.
that scarf that he was wearing, he ended up losing that scarf that day, and he passed it on to someone special. And maybe Jose can confirm that, but I think that ended up with someone special in the beer gardens that night.
Joe is in the chat from T-Dot. Like his many trips out to Vernon from Toronto, he has traveled the furthest to be with us tonight. So Jose, we'll look for you to confirm whether you lost your scarf or not. Adam throwing it down there. But great to see you in the chat, Joe. And this episode is for you. RG, can you please turn off all of your texts? You are a very popular guy,
Sorry.
but we all know it's you.
It's Hawk Carl. It's Hawk Carl, Holla.
Carl, stop texting RG. He's live on the air, okay? You're making him look dumb. See, there, I settled it. That's middle row. That's the middle row unity of Hawk Carl and Holla right there. Listen, 25 minutes in and we haven't even done the sponsor. Let's get into it right now. Go into Scotty for the sponsor. Tonight's sponsor, Scotty, over to you.
It is a beauty, Holla. Are you tired of needless distractions, worrying and wondering about the people around you? Well, good news. You can now eliminate some of those worries with a brand new free app for your smartphone or tablet. That's right. From the creators of the Shitbit and the Retractisac comes Phoner. Phoner is a completely free app that allows you to detect if people in your immediate proximity are concealing or not concealing erections. Simply allow the app to have access to your phone's camera along with any and all personal data stored on the device. Activate the app and you're ready to go. Point your phone at any person as if you're taking a picture. Click the button and simply keep the person in the frame for 3 to 6 seconds. Then voila, an instantaneous response letting you know if that person has an erection or not. This app is currently not available on any major download platforms such as Google Play, iTunes, or Amazon, but it is available for download on some pretty notable sites such as Aptoid, F-Droid, GetJar, AC Market, SlideMe, Up to Down Market, itch.io, Cydia, Nextvia, Bmoda, AppBrain, OneMobile, and Appalicious. Phoner, possibly the last app you will ever need. Now, back to more LWO radio. But, Paula, just before we get to that, that's from the company. Now, I was a little skeptical of the whole thing. Like, there's no way you can get an app, let it use your camera, and then you can just see if people have erections or not. But I downloaded it, and it works just as advertised. So you go into the thing. Where is it here? So you open that up. And then, yeah, you just open it up. It looks just like a normal camera, right? So you point it at the person. So it's me in this one. And just 3 to 4 seconds, hopefully. All right. And then, yeah, just like that, it comes back with a result. And it's 100% right. I am fully torqued right now. This thing is a game changer by far.
All right, Scotty. I love it. I think the chat's going wild. And I'm fairly certain that was what was happening on RG's phone right before the segment. Because as you know, all 5 of us did download the app to try it out this week. And Scotty, thank you for that. It's a tremendous app. It's got a lot of potential. The Phoner app. Everybody, legends, get on it. Get onto your Factoid, GitHub, whatever you just said. Download it now. A portion of the proceeds collected from downloading that free app do go to LWO Radio. So fantastic stuff, Scotty. And I hope that you stay hard for the next 3 hours because it's gonna be one of those nights.
Any longer than that, and I'll need Spilly because he's a physician.
Well, there we go.
And
Pretty
excellent finisher too.
I think the less said about Spilly this week, the better. He had a pretty legendary story, which I'm not at liberty to share on the air. But listen, guys, that's it. You know what's happened here. We've given our dedication. We had a boat race. We've done our episode sponsor, the Phoner. We shouted out the chat. Great to see all of you involved. Get involved tonight. And next comes basically the big segment of the evening, the segment that you're all here for. A segment that brings a tear to my eye and gives me goosebumps every time I think about this event. And I think really to set this up, I need some help from the chat tonight. And so I'm going to call on legend Coolio. Coolio, I know you have the day off tomorrow. I know you're out there. You're going to be on next week's episode, by the way. There's a reveal right there. But Coolio, I really need you to tell me what day it is today. And so we're going to wait. I've sent it out. There is a 6-second delay between what we're saying and what appears in YouTube. But Coolio, what day is it today? We'll wait for his chat response before we proceed. Hopefully he's still there. We could be waiting a long time. He is still
According to
there.
the chat, it says weak boat times. I don't think that's the response you're looking for, though, is it?
No,
Is that a shot at Bremner?
it might be.
I don't want to bring it up, but
Okay, Coolio. Well, your time is up.
Thanks a lot, Brad.
Wow.
Fucking Brad.
There. Today is Friday, Dr. Poulos. No, it's Legends Eve, guys. It's Legends Eve. It's the night that we all look forward to once a year.
there he is.
Every year without fail. And I like to think that despite the fact that we're not all in the man van with Adamizer right now, only Joe, Benny, Brett, Old School, and Spilly are. There he is. He got on it. It's Legends Eve. Tonight, despite all the fact that we're not together or planning to get together this weekend, we are all here. We are together digitally. You can't argue that this is the best. It's not. It's the next best thing. But in fact, we are together on Legends Eve, celebrating what happened just a short year ago, and an amazing tournament that we need to dedicate a show to. Of course, I'm talking about the Twin Championships, the reigning Twin Championships of 2019. So this week's main segment, as you guys already know, 2-time champions of 2019, a great origin story for LWO, a momentous occasion for all of us, young, old, new to LWO, guys who have been around for ages. I like to think that every episode we've had of LWO radio, including the hockey one for that matter, built to that moment last year where we won Twin Championships, something to be very proud of. Something to celebrate and to enjoy, and a true story that when T Money, Scotty, Mac, and I sat down and we started to sort of hammer out the episodes of LWO Radio, we did not plan. This is a true story. We did not plan for this episode to fall on this weekend. It just happened. Serendipitous, I think, is the word. It's what the stars brought us to be. So tonight we're going to do our best to celebrate last year. We're going to do our best to celebrate tonight and being together as legends. I'm so happy to see, the legions of legends tuning in to the chat. And I'm so happy to be able to share this with you guys, as is the panel tonight. So without further ado, let's get into the origin segment. I am going to go to Adamizer first because I think this story starts a little bit further back than 2019. Adamizer, what do you know about the origins of the 2019 championship? Where does it start for you? Who's involved? Talk to me about this.
2019, well, there was a build-up for a few years, I think, to that. We talked last week about hockey and just destroying teams in 2013. We destroyed hockey. We destroyed Vernon in 2013. It was such a great year. And we had a couple years where we were making, semifinals and things like that. Bob Ross had us a little bit. And a couple things kept building up. We had this talk in 2017. The Fab Five were coming. This is guys like Scott Rimek. This is Perry. This is Keith Ski. This is Lebs. This is Bobby Knoll. And we're like, 2017, we're just going to go in and destroy teams. The Fab Five, we had a few of them, but not everyone. We did okay, but Bob Ross, I think, had us. Troy knows the facts on all of this. So we go back and we're like, okay, well, next year, we have got 35-year-old twins, and one of them still plays college. And 2018, we're going to go and we're going to destroy teams. And we bring another strong team. And, we're building up to this and, feeling like we're going to get these guys in 2018 because we didn't do it last year. And we we have a lot of good players, and you know, everyone on the LWO wants to have a good time on the field. They want to win games, they want to contribute, and they want to have a good time off the field. And that year, I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 30, 35 people, something like that. There's a lot of people and a lot of really good players. And we walked away and we didn't win that year. And so we went back and we thought, somehow, what are we going to do differently to come up with a victory? And it felt like a couple of years of, you know, we're close, but we're not quite there. And so that brought us to what I think we're going to talk about is the way home, and thinking, what do we do next?
No, totally, Adam. And I do remember the 2018 tournament. There was a lot of high hopes. Glanville's joined us that tournament. There was a lot of guys there. And, you know, I think you're right. Like, I think it was 30 plus. And I do remember that ride home in 2018. We got diverted because Merritt was shut down on the Coke, and we went through Lake Country. And the conversation in the van, you know, Mac, you, T, Scotty, was a little downtrodden, I got to say. And we've hit on this before in LWO radio about how it's not enough to have the brotherhood that we do, but we win championships, be it hockey, be it soccer, we win championships. And there's an expectation there that we win. And make no mistake about it, legends, whether you're on the panel tonight, whether you're listening in live, or whether you're listening to this tomorrow, the next day, whatever, we win championships. That's a fact. That's what gives us our swagger, right back to the very first days of LWO. And we were down in the van, and Mac and T Money were feeling it, because they spent a lot of effort and time organizing these things, and they want to win. And I remember being in the van, and I don't recall who came up with the idea. It may have been T, it might have been Mac, but they sort of started the conversation to say, look, you know, maybe we need two teams. Maybe it's time. There's another division. There's an over 40s division. Maybe we get the 40s going, because we've got the numbers, and we bring in some new blood. And we get the 35s going. You know, maybe it's time. And you know, there's a lot of good, wholesome conversation, because not only did we not win in 2018, but there's a lot of guys who showed up that didn't get a lot of time. And you know, as much as you want to go to a tournament, I mean, and you know, there's a couple of us who don't play. We'd still love to play, but we don't play. But you know, you go up there, you want to get on the pitch, and you want to, you know, because we're all competitive guys, you want to just be on that pitch and contribute, right? Because that's part of being that's a big part of this family is that you contribute. And that I do remember in that van that, like I said, there was a lot of long faces, and a lot of thought was going into, could this work? Could this be a magical moment? And I know T Money sent some notes out, and I've already had way too much to drink to recall exactly what he said. And Monty, a big shout out to you. I saw you in the chat just saying you were looking forward to this episode, because you don't really remember the weekend. I don't think any of us really do. So this could be kind of an interesting episode.
Dragon Glass.
Yeah, T Money said, like, basically he floated it with a lot of LWO guys, and they all liked the idea. And that's kind of how we come to get two teams now.
And that's one thing as well, Holla. We're talking about this, and us older guys like Mac and T-Roy and me are like, our eyes are getting big, because you know what happens when we create an over 35 team and we go up to 40? Yeah. What happens to us? We turn 18 again. So that's dynamite. So we don't have to play these 35-year-olds anymore. We're all of a sudden the youngest guys. We're the fastest guys. We can compete at the highest level, score goals, and we can get back to 2013 destroying teams. So as soon as the idea came about, like, oh, we can let Glanville's play over 35 and the Fab Five, and we'll just make our way up to over 40s because we're there. Perfect. All of a sudden, this sounded like such a good idea. And what could have been in 2018, all of a sudden just opened up. Like, was this aha moment, like life is going to get good. We're going to come back. We're going to watch the 35s. And that's the other thing we missed for a lot of years is being on the side and watching a team. So if we go back to Salmon Arm days, there was times where there was the LWO playing, and I'll give a shout out to the girls, the chick with balls playing. And so there was a good time always with the
That's
LWO.
not a chick.
The chick
I feel like I should correct you here.
side, drinking some beers, and then the chicks with balls, they didn't actually have balls, but they were chicks anyways. They were watching us play. And so all of a sudden the idea got even better. So we can play a little bit with the Glanvilles and the Fab Five and really good players like that. But we could also sit on the side and drink some beers and watch them. We'll get to what kind of beers were in the cooler a bit later, I think. But that was one of the highlights of, thinking this through.
I don't even know how you remember what beers were in the cooler. I don't even remember. I don't remember anything. It's all a bit of a blur. But I want to go to RG next.
Beers.
I want to go to RG next because now the context is laid for all the legends out there. It's Legends Eve, by the way. Legends, cheers to you. Make sure you're still drinking. A beer will always make this episode go better. It is Legends Eve. What do you got to do tomorrow? I know for a fact, Coolio, you're not working tomorrow. So listen. So part of the success of this is that we've got enough guys to go to the Ford East Division, but we need some new blood. We need some new guys. And so there's a big responsibility that's planted on you, RG, to kind of help us fill out some of the numbers. So one, let's talk about that for a second. Who do you bring in? How do you get involved? I mean, obviously you were on the 2018 team, but what are you thinking? Do you think this is Perry peeing in the corner? Hold on. Perry, are you going pee?
Take a knee, Perry.
Wow. Every episode there's a first, and that
this is a kid. It's a kid's show, Perry.
Gee whiz.
My kids are watching, Perry.
He's gone full Blair Witch on us. All right, back to you, RG. I don't get too distracted here.
Yeah, no, fair. That's fair.
He did go pee, man. Like I can't get over this, Perry. That guys, we didn't plan
We got
that.
a bathroom in the back office over here. Like I'm prepared.
Apparently in Abbotsford, they pee in the corner.
Ridiculous.
He's trying to sneak back on screen. Wow, impressive. RG, tell me about who you get involved, how you get involved. When do you first hear that maybe there's going to be two teams?
Yeah. So first off, I just wanted to address the fact that, my beer wasn't the best beer I've had in my life. And I think it went down the other tube, which is why I came out a bit during the boat race. But yeah, I mean, to your question, I think it's something where, we have, we've got a lot of history with Salmon Arm Boys and the LWO. I think, before I could even get into bars, I was trying to sneak into the live wire and whatnot on August long weekend. And another clarifying point I wanted to make is we actually wanted to keep going to Salmon Arm, but my brother got into a bit of a kerfuffle in the Rebel Soak tournament where he kicked one of his old roommates in the head. So he got a 2-year ban from North Okanagan Soccer Association. So anyways, that Bremner, I don't know if you were aware of that, but that's why we ended up going to Kamloops. But I think for 2 or 3 years we would do Salmon Arm. Sean, I think, was doing it before. And, the likes of T-Roy, Mac Daddy and whatnot, Coolio, like a lot of these guys, we felt like really connected to them through all these tournaments and the connections like they'd come up to Williams Lake, and we've talked about that before. But, I think when we got to that point where, T-Roy, the Jerry Krause of LWO, was trying to figure out how do we sort of piece together the over 35 team. He was asking me, he's like, do you have any guys that, would fit well with LWO? Because obviously it's much more than just being a good soccer player, which I feel like we've covered a lot with all these stories. So I'd kind of go through my list of guys who I thought could be a good fit. And a lot of it was like, not kind of like the resume soccer wise. It's like, well, this guy can do a great Hollywood Hogan impression or Macho Man, or like this guy calls himself Mr. Nude Canada, right? And then T-Roy immediately like, that's the guy we need to bring. So we got guys like Hot Carl. We got guys like Cheese, Luke. I feel like there's going to be more to come, but essentially it's like all guys that are come from kind of like that same cloth that a lot of the guys from Salmon Arm and the Victoria boys and whatnot come from, where we like to have fun, and we've summer tournaments have kind of in our blood, right? Where we every year it's like we look forward to these weekend tournaments more than anything. So like the opportunity to kind of like align forces with this team who we've kind of like, we've talked about this before too, but the two Lightning teams coming together. I think we only had one game. Monty likes to bring up the fact that we lost the only match, I believe. But I think we were all 18 at that time. But I think essentially we had a good relationship with the LWO guys, and as soon as T-Roy reached out, I was like, okay, we got these guys. And when I reached out to the guys like Hot Carl and Luke, they were kind of keen, but I feel like they also didn't really know what to expect. They were kind of going in saying, okay, there's, we're playing on a new team, but, they weren't aware of what LWO means. And I think, when we actually got them to the tournament, it starts to open up. But, essentially that's sort of, the genesis of how we came to be, bringing the new guys in. Holla.
Follow-up question for you there, RG. Do you think they really knew what they were in for?
No.
Oh,
there's zero chance. And I feel like, I don't know if any of the other guys have this issue, but when people ask me, it's like I was out at Casey Archibald's house one of these Friday nights, and I'm basically ignoring everyone turning into this podcast. And they're like, so what is LWO? And I have a tough time explaining it. Because for me, I think you actually have to like be in the beer gardens, seeing the beer tap technology, seeing the Mickey of Crown Royal being spilled out, the black and yellow and whatnot. So, there we go. Cornet. But yeah, I think when they actually got to the scene, and when they're hearing like black and yellow play, and they're hearing the chanting and the songs and the camaraderie, I think seeing is believing for those guys. So it's like, no matter what I can say to kind of tee up what they should expect when they come into this environment, you've got to be here to actually, you've got to be in the Vernon beer gardens and Dawn Cherries and whatnot to actually understand just, how incredible this dynamic is. So I think once they came into the fold, they're like, okay, I see why this is an exciting group to be a part of.
I couldn't agree more. And it is hard to describe, but I like the fact that you've got winners on your side. We've got winners on our side. And there's a synergy there that we just synergized the hell out of Vernon with our synergism, and won the tournament twice. So guys like Luke, Cheese, Hot Carl really contributed, and it was great to see that new blood in LWO for all of us, and to reward that with not only some first-rate guys who I have a feeling were a little tentative at first, but to really see them come out of their shells and really experience everything that the LWO has to offer. And we're going to talk a bit more about that as we go. I want to get to Perry. He's already taken the first pee break of the evening. Perry, you've been coming up to Vernon now for a couple of years. I think 2018 as the old mileage hit the odometer for your 35-ness. 2018 might have been your first, or 2017 might have been your first.
It was 2017, I believe. I went and made a child in 2018, and I was at home for that one. But yeah.
So you get involved in 2017. perpetual rider from Abbotsford on in the man van. When's the first that you hear that we're going to have two teams, and what are your thoughts initially on this situation?
Yeah, I would say I heard it from T Money or Mac. They both came forward with the idea, and I think just based on people's ages and the talent at both age categories, I feel like that worked. It made the most sense. Just a quality group of dudes. Like, I mean, you've got Niter, who could play up or down at that point in 2019, and you got English Dave, who still had the legs, and a bunch of the dudes could have either played over 40s or 35s, and that's the nice thing about the LWO, is that there's a lot of versatility with the talent, guys going up or down and filling in the blanks. With the exception of Coolio, that guy can just play up or down or in between, or on the other side. Who knows? Whatever, he can go.
Sometimes he doesn't play at all.
Sometimes he does. But yeah, no, Troy came forward with the idea. I mean, I just love being a part of it, to be honest. I just wait on the roadside for hours in advance for the van to just show up, and as Adamizer's got her going there, there's nothing like the sight of the van prior to a long weekend. It's like a glimmer of hope in the distance, and you just give them a little bit of a quick shout out as to which ferry they caught, and then I just head to the road. I don't actually care. I just stand beside Highway 1 for hours until they pick me up.
I like it, Perry, and true story, and genuinely a highlight of the trip in the man van is stopping at your house to go pee. So I appreciate that, and shout out to your wife for allowing a bunch of drunk legends into your house to go pee. And that will become a theme, I think, when we talk about the man van and places to go pee. So beautiful, Perry. I think you've set that well. I think when we talked about this episode tonight, we talked about how best to approach it. And I think chronologically is the right way. We've kind of established the context of how this panel gets involved. Scotty, of course, is involved as well, playing some critical parts in both the man van and on the pitch. So Scotty, I want to come to you as well before we move on to the next part of this episode. But Scotty, talk to me, like, what's obviously you're in the van from 2018 talking about two teams. What are your thoughts about two teams? What were you thinking?
I like the idea of two teams. It opened up, as long as we had enough players, it opened up more playing time, because there was guys that were just sitting on the sidelines for long periods of time, and it wasn't a big deal. Like, it had to happen. There were so many guys there. And the funny thing was, there were so many guys that didn't want to play too, because they're just so hungover or just old and feeling bad. Like, I make the most incredible sounds when I get out of a chair now. Like, I'm on the side of I don't need to play right now anymore. But it was nice having the two teams. It opened it up a little bit to actually get out there and get a couple touches. Or in my case, I was unfortunately in the championship year, I was a little too overserved for the games. Like, I wanted to find that like perfect point where I'm super confident and I can do anything or I can do things that I can normally not do when I'm sober, but I just tiptoed past that. So I would do like step overs and the ball would go out of bounds. I'm like, shoot, stuff like that. So I wasn't a big contributor on the field in the championship year, but I did appreciate having to be on there because of the numbers.
Can I just interject for a second? Scotty's coming in marathon fit. Let's be honest. The guy, I've never seen Scotty as fit.
No.
And, respect. But yeah, I think Scotty, you downplay your role, but I feel like it's an important part of everything that is LWO, with, subbing in here and there and everywhere. And, up front, sure, coach, wherever you need me. And, Scotty's running miles out there. So, yeah, I thought he did well on that weekend. Big contributor.
I agree.
That just plays into the fact that we were all really drunk that weekend, because Perry misremembers that quite a bit.
Also, sorry for not inviting you to my wedding, Scotty. I mean, I don't know when I was going to say it, but you deserve to be there.
Wow.
You probably saved a ton of money on your damage deposit, so don't worry about that. That was the smartest thing you've ever done, other than marrying your wife.
Yeah, and not cutting that hair. Moving on, boys. Moving on. We all decided to approach this chronologically. I think, there is a select group of legends from the island that know about this tradition every year. We would be there right now alongside the Adamizer. I'm going to go to Adam next. Adam, the man van and the man van ceremonies are not well known to any legends, possibly, that are not part of the man van crew. We need to talk about the man van. We need to talk about the man van hard, because not only do we have two teams going up to Vernon to take part last year, but it's our first time, I believe, with two men vans. I don't know how to say that, but I'll let the alcohol take over. The man vans. Tell the boys about what the situation is in the man van. Talk us through driving up to Vernon last year. I don't remember any of that trip, but I'm hoping you do.
Well, we were planning this out, and we were trying to figure out what's the best way to get there. We've got all these legends, and we've got a man van. It seats 8, although that takes away from cooler space. And so the debate goes on. Do we get one of these airport-sized vans? Do we get a school bus because it's black and yellow and it can fit a lot of people in it? Or do we ask our wives and try and get 2 vans, which is complicated in itself? And so there's a lot of discussion going on. Who's asking who? I've already got the man van locked down until I'm 70 and can't play soccer anymore every May long. And that's why I'm in the man van now. But it was really tricky. And at the end, we looked at school buses, couldn't find one. We thought about buying one, and really we're gonna have to invest a lot to get it up and running. And so we ended up going with 2 vans. So we got the man van, the usual trip up, and we got the ghetto van. And ghetto van came through. That's right, Chris. I don't know what he did with Sarah to figure that out, but he did it, and we got the ghetto van. And so we all go, and the typical route is, one, get to the ferry if you can, because that's going to get us to the mainland. And, we have a nice time on the ferry, have a few pirate packs, and get on to the mainland. And we will take Highway 0, a couple of nice stops along the way, and get to Perry, pick up Perry. Perry's always got something for us, whether it be a bathroom stop. The year he didn't play, he had a shrine out there. There was like a scarf, and there was some booze and some beers. And
I was sad. I was legitimately sad I couldn't come.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I don't know why we stopped there, but must have been to acknowledge the shrine.
To pick up Robbie Null. Well, actually, Robbie Null, he's our stowaway. He stays here on occasion.
So Robbie Null was a stowaway there. So that's the typical thing. Eventually we get to Bridal Falls, and you want to spend a little bit of money at Bridal Falls because the girl behind the cash register gets air miles from you, right? So she's banking them. She can't use them now. It's COVID time, but she's got a lot in the bank right now.
And they're a sponsor of the show, Adam. Don't you forget that, buddy.
Remember that one. And you pick up some beef jerky, some Chinese food, some chips, a recorder, maybe a sun hat. Well, anything really. And away we go. And that particular year, we had a nice game of Circle of Trust at the top. I remember that. And really fun. And
Adam, what was the point of the Circle of Trust? Did that decide anything?
I think, if I recall correctly, it was to decide who ended up in whose van. There was a transfer. Maybe it was to try and get Benny in the back seat. It
was, how I recall it, was we had a Circle of Trust moment at the summit, the Coca-Cola there.
Yeah.
And it was to realign the vans. So everyone had to, you ended up here, you went to that van, then whatever. And I ended up sitting next to Alec. And at the time, I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be boring. And that didn't happen.
It was a really
No,
nice
it's true.
event. You jump in any side, good times. I
There
would
was,
highly
there
recommend.
was a definite difference between the ghetto van and the proper man van. Like the ghetto van was legit ghetto. I apologize, but Circle of Trust. I was wearing this exact shirt the day of Circle of Trust, and I have a little fucking nibble mark on my shoulder that stuck with me for the better part of the weekend. Can you guess who might have done that? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Teeth. Guy's got a hell of a bite.
How are you just discovering this? That's like his signature move.
Caught me off guard, not gonna lie.
I love it. The man van is such a fine tradition for all of us. And for any of you that don't live in Victoria or on the Lower Mainland that we pick up, you really are missing out. For me, a personal highlight of the man van is riding. Typically, by the time we're on the Merritt to Kelowna connector, we're like really intoxicated, and we crank up the tunes. And usually, Mac Daddy and I just make up lyrics to very popular songs. And I'm trying to think of some right now, but they're just not coming to me. But I'm fairly certain we redid The Gambler at one point. Like
the main one comes over as you come over and down. You start to get that nice view. Is Life in a Northern Town. You'll hear that one every time.
That's true, actually.
Yeah,
I sort of remember that.
Mac does a really. You think that he's got a drum somewhere, but I don't think he does. But he's doing Life in a Northern Town, and Bremner thinks I sang a different song, and that could be true.
I think he did.
But that's one of my favorites. But anyways, yeah, it's a great trip, and eventually we all make it safe. And I'll give a shout out to Troy for that, because Troy will drive for the Vernon trip every year, and gives me a time to sit right here with guys like Spilly and Jose. Got the wrong hand going, but yeah. Anyways.
Hey, speaking of which, Adam, walk us through that current man van situation. So usually when we go up, there's at least enough alcohol to get us from city to city, whether it be a cooler or a whatever, some sort of carrying device. What do you have around you now?
Good question. Well, a lot of this stuff is going to come out as the show goes on, I think, so I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, just leave it. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad to hear you've got preparations. See, not everyone plans ahead, you know?
I planned ahead. There's sorry, did you want to know now? Is that what you said?
No, God, no. You bring it up when it's appropriate.
Do you know what? I like Perry, I got this text that he was stocking up, and he stocked up on things that were pertinent for Vernon. Like he got some teas, obviously. Because, now that we're legends, we get heartburn. So, less beer, more tea is the way to go. There's a lot of good Vernon Long Weekend drinks, and I've got them actually all here. So at some point, see a different drink come out.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I got to say, one of the great things about the man van is rolling in 10:30 p.m. And usually about 9 p.m. text start from some of the boys already partying at Don Cherry's. Say, hey, where you guys are at. But rolling in Friday night, and certainly a space that we would be very close to right now, should we be Vernon bound, is getting up to the Don Cherry's on a Friday night and just seeing all the boys partying, hugging, giving out some hugs, drinking some drinks, long hugs and hard candy. Definitely seeing Richie up there. He's usually holding it down. Shout out to him. I don't think we've shouted him out yet in the series, but a great dude, and I hope he's doing well. But just coming across the legends, just that first moment where you get to see the boys that you haven't seen all year round. You've been looking forward to it all year. All year you look forward to it. And so personally right now, I'm trying to imagine that, looking at the chat, seeing some of the names in there. Coolio, Bremner, Champ has joined us now. Poulos, all the boys, T-Money, Mac Daddy. Rolling into Don Cherry's is a personal highlight for me. And one of the happiest moments of the year for me, for sure, is that exact moment. So that kind of gets us up to Vernon. Gets a lot of the boys up to Vernon. I know RG, you came in on your own. I think there was somebody calling you out in the chat about maybe stopping in Kamloops or something like that. I'm not sure. But listen, the real action starts on Saturday. Is that?
Sorry, quick
Hold on.
Cornet, are you drinking miso soup, bro?
Well, it's pho. What the fuck are you drinking?
One of the best times before you get to Don Cherry's is you arrive at the hotel at the Sandman. Scarves are out. Everyone's having a good time. And there's one year that we ended up in the hotel room, and obviously there's rye everywhere, but there's no glasses. So we have rye bowls. And so that's what that was. That was a bowl of rye because there's no cups left. It's like a bowl of rye.
Shout out to the rye bowl. No, I love it. Oh, before we go on, who's in the man van this year, 2019? We've got Mac Daddy, T Money, Adamizer, Scotty, Perry, myself, Benny Stanch, Bremner, Alec. First-time legend Alec is joining us. And for those of you who don't know, Alec really joined up. I know we had a bit of a keeper crisis in the week leading up to last year's tournament, and we recruited Alec. So shout out to you, Alec, for joining us. There's some stories about you coming, so don't you worry. But that really gets us up to Vernon. We've still got a lot of content to go. So listen, I'm going to go to RG to tell us a little bit about Saturday morning when you show up, what your feelings are, maybe a bit about the first game with the 35s, and yeah, why don't you take it from there? Let's get into Saturday. Let's get into the action.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just on the pre-call, I think we were trying to kind of rack our brains. T-Roy, you might have to sort of keep us honest in some of the details, but from my perspective, we roll in pretty hot in terms of Hot Carl puking, I think 8 different times on the way from Kamloops to Vernon. So Carl, I don't know if you're still on the chat, but yeah, it was, it's an hour and maybe 20 minutes to Vernon, and we had to stop every 8 minutes just because, we were trying to live up to the legend status when we rolled in. And I think Saturday morning we come in, typical summer tournament fashion, everyone is completely hung, trying to sort of get your stretches in. I think the first game we played, T-Roy, keep us posted and keep us honest, but I feel like we played that same Coquitlam team. That was the team that we had that epic comeback against in the first game. And, I think I missed a PK, one of those games where, we just could not score. Our host is gone, but I hope I'm supposed to be talking about soccer, but I'm going to talk about soccer.
Talk about whatever you want, dude. You can do whatever you want. This is your time. We've kept you on mute long enough. I saw you drinking beers. I like that. So no, just keep elaborating on what you remember about soccer, and don't reference if you're right or wrong. Don't say, "Hey, T-Roy, remind me." Just pick the shit up. Say like, "Hey, no, we won 11-0, and there was an elephant in net." Doesn't matter. Just pick it up. I don't care. Be confident.
Okay, Scotty, that gives me a lot of confidence. So thank you for that. So we end up, like, I miss a PK. I think Perry missed a ton of sitters. I missed a ton of sitters. I think Julio stopped a PK, and that made me feel better about me missing a PK. But we tied, and it was one of these things where it's like we felt like we should have won, but we're all hung titties, so it's, you don't really care. You're like, we'll probably go to the semis. I think we end up winning the next game pretty handily.
Let's be honest, that group from Coquitlam, though, they were kind of douchey. Like, they kind of had a bit of an edge. They thought they were all that. They had some pretty talented dudes, no question. Pretty tall sweeper in the back who you kind of introduced yourself to. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they seemed very vanilla. They didn't seem like they were all that. You probably don't want to go out to Don Cherry's with them, right?
They're going to Cactus for sure. They're not going to Don Cherry's.
No, but they thought they were quite good, but really just they lacked that certain je ne sais quoi that LWO. Yeah, why put them in the same voice? But anyways, we end up tying them. I think we go on to the second game. We beat them handily. Scott, I think it was 11-0 with the elephant in goal. Because I have zero memory of what that game entailed. But yeah, I think Holla, I think we can probably fast forward to Saturday night, unless anyone else has any memories from Saturday. Perry, anything? Cornette?
I'll tell you.
You dialed it pretty good there. The Coquitlam team definitely would have been our biggest test, I'd say, tournament-wise. Bob Ross on the other side of the bracket, I think they were obviously a lot more talented, and probably one would assume that we would have met them in the semis, at least, if not finals. But yeah, that Coquitlam team gave us, I don't know what it was. They were like kind of an anomaly. They somehow had our number, and a bunch of Coquitlam douchebags.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good synopsis, and keep in mind I was in the bathroom for part of that. But RG, you've done well there. I do want to chip in a little bit on the 40s from Saturday, because they also had a great start to the tournament. We started away from the beer gardens. We started at the field across town against a team, I believe, from Surrey. And I think it was a fairly close game. It might have been like 1 or 2 goals. I distinctly remember the other team being very upset with Luke. I think he went hard in on a couple challenges.
Never.
But one of the cool things, at least to highlight for me personally, is that this is the year officially I'm invited in to be part of the coaching fold. So I'm coaching the 40s with Monty, and we get our first win in the morning. We head over. That's the only game we play away from the beer gardens. And we head over to the beer gardens for our second game. And for me, again, there's a lot of things that are very blurry, but there's when you guys get really drunk and you're partying, and I know everyone can relate to this, and it feels like here's the thing. I'm going to take off my sunnies for this. And it feels like the world is kind of doing this, and you're only really catching every fifth frame. That's kind of my whole weekend when this stuff happens. I'm really only catching, but then there's these moments of purity. There's these moments of just enlightenment that you have. And I have these very, very distinct memories. And one of those has to do with Dr. Spilly Benson. Saturday for the ages in front of the beer garden on the 40s. And T Money will know the score of the game. I don't know what the score was. I have a feeling it was tight at the time. But the back post runs of Dr. Spilly Benson on the Saturday second game in front of the gardens, twice in a row, he pops up and pops the ball in the back of the net on the back post. And crazily enough, it happened for a third time, and he either hit the post or missed the net, but it was almost a hat trick. I know we talk about the champ and the perfect day, but Spilly Benson, what a legend. I mean, and we won that game. And I'm certain, beyond all certainty, and chat, you keep me honest on this one, that it was Spilly's goals that propelled us to the victory and into the beer garden that night. And so, as much as we're talking about the 35s, the 40s had just that epic performance. It saw Spilly get the player, the man of the match. It saw him with the gold, the yellow jacket being awarded. And it's just such a vivid and crisp memory before I got blackout drunk. It was just an epic moment. And so Spilly being the legend of the day, I mean, so well earned. He has to be one of the performances of 2019 without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to go to you, Scotty. Do you remember Spilly's goals? Were you where are you? Do you remember that? Like, I mean, it was just epic.
I was right on the 18 for the two nice goals. I remember the third one, but I don't know if it, like you said, hit the post or went wide. I don't know, but they were amazing runs. I would have subbed off in a second after those because I would have been so gassed. But the best time, I loved seeing when I met Spilly the first time on a soccer field. I knew him as the guy that lived upstairs at Poulis and Benny's house for a long time. I didn't know he was part of this. He just was the guy upstairs. And then the first time I saw him play soccer, he showed up in Vernon for just the old July long tournament. And he subbed in to play for a couple of minutes. And he didn't have any gear. And he just played in like running shoes and normal socks. And the ref just let that go. And I don't think he scored, but he definitely came close. He may have scored that one. But I remember that, seeing him in just tennis shoes and no shin pads or even soccer socks. And everyone just letting that go and like, it's okay with this guy. And Spilly's been a legend since that point for me.
No, I agree. What an epic moment. And Batesky asking a question there, Perry. Who wore better, Spilly's actual hair on tourney day or Perry right now? Is that the Spilly collection?
This is actually one of his lines. I mean, there's no debate. It's Spilly 100%. The guy, he's a doctor. His run was calculated. He wrote himself a prescription for 2 goals that day, almost 3. So, I mean, you can't beat that. It's Spilly Benson. He probably had a beer in his pocket on his way to score those 2 goals.
Do you want to comment on his touch?
Clinical. Medicinal.
Fantastic. I think, again, Saturday just ruled the airwaves. Spilly Benson. Here's to you, my friend. Let's legends. Let's have a beer to that.
Any comments on Spilly's fitness for that weekend?
Mediocre.
Spilly, I talked to him about this because I saw these goals and I was like, holy man, he is coming in from the right wing and just flying, absolute power and speed. So as he's going to the beer gardens, I say, Spilly, what's going on? What are you doing here? What's working for you? And I remember him saying about doing CrossFit like 5 days a week. And then I go over to Troy like, Spilly's doing CrossFit every day. What the hell is with that? Like, this is a Vernon over 40s tournament. And Troy goes on to tell me he's got some kind of doubles match coming up. And I don't know if this is tennis or pickleball or what it is, but he's got some kind of doubles match in Vancouver that he's working out for. And maybe Spilly will comment on what that is. But he told me in the van on the way up what that was. So anyways, good story there.
I love it, Spilly. A couple other highlights we want to talk about on Saturday. I know Alec got his call up in one of the games. I recall Coolio unfortunately got a bit injured, but Alec came in and won the game. It was a big match. I want to say it was on the 35 side. So he got his call up as a legend. Another thing that happened on Saturday, which was fateful, may not have been a good news thing, and I don't know how people will think about it, but a guy by the name of Dolly got injured, and we talk about the 40s, we talk about the fact that myself and Monty were coaching, but Dolly takes a knee basically on Saturday. Unfortunately, he gets himself injured. And he joins the coaching staff of the 40s team, which could prove to be faithful in the long run because, as you guys know, we're fucking 2 times champions in one weekend. And Dolly was a part of that. So a bit of a fateful moment. I also know Prime on the 40s team. We weren't sure if he was all there. We tried subbing him out. He didn't chat with Benny. I know Benny was a little upset with that, But when we subbed Prime out, I couldn't tell if he was upset or not. And then he just said, I got to go get ready for another game. And he left. So that basically happened. But yeah, Saturday was a big day, as it always is. Vernon tournament. We're getting our legs underneath us. We're getting some wins on the board, which you have to do if you want to win a championship. We progress into the beer gardens. Memories of both Spilly and Coolio wearing Jello jackets, because I think Coolio had T-Money's coat on. And there's some partying going on. I want to go to you, Adam, next. I want you to talk to us about the vibe in the beer garden Saturday. I want you to tell us like a little bit about what's going on. And if you have any specific memories from Saturday night last year, it would be great to maybe let me and Monty know what we were doing.
So if you don't remember what was happening in the beer gardens, you're kind of on the same page as me, I think. But anyways, so there was a good times happening. The Yellow Jackets out. There were chalices out. There was, boat races. And I think this is the night where all of a sudden everyone from the beer gardens leaves all of a sudden and leaves Alec there all on his own. Is that Saturday? It could be Sunday. I don't know. The beer gardens was a good time, but I can tell you a little bit about what happens a little bit later. Fast forward to Don Cherry's.
Go for it.
So Don Cherry's, anyways, was a highlight on that Saturday night. And I remember rolling in with Britchie, and there was a really good time happening. And what I observed as soon as I walked in there was Ryan Glanville pop and locking. I didn't know what that was the term at the time, but that's what it was. Maybe he'll do some dance moves there. And I'm going to say maybe we can go to the chat line for this, but that was probably the best dancing since deaf dancing a few years ago. So maybe we can have a little vote on the chat line, deaf dancing, RG pop rock, and see what comes out up top. But it was epic. Everyone was around. I remember him dancing, doing his moves. His hood came up and went over, like he wrapped himself and he's doing, I don't even know how to do it. Maybe you can do a few moves for us, RG, but it was amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you, Cornette. I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of flack the next morning from Mac Daddy because there's a lot of talk about how the Williams Lake guys just didn't perform on Saturday night. So, yeah, I heard there was talk about sitting a lot of us just because we didn't go ahead.
We didn't see you a lot. Like we were out at the beer gardens. We didn't see you or the new guys quite a bit. I didn't see you out too much. I do remember you out that night because you would just come and stare at me with these eyes. And like,
yeah, we
love dancing. And like, it was weird stuff, but I didn't see you too much as far as quantity. So I understand Mac's point.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But I felt like I might have been the only one. I think Luke might have been out there. Carl was still having his puke marathon, but yeah. One thing, if I can get to this, so Mac Daddy is well known. Oh, Carl, yeah, we were hungover. So Mac Daddy, I've never heard in the history of my experience in soccer is some of the pregame motivating speeches that Mac Daddy can share. It's eye-opening and it's inspiring. And one thing he was talking about is how he heard that with the Detroit Red Wings when they were quite prolific, that there would be someone in the hotel lobby taking, getting names of everyone who came back in time. And for LWO, it's the opposite, right? It's like if you come back before a certain time, you have to write your name down. But I guess what happened is, there it is. I bribed the doorman at RG's hotel to keep an eye. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is when I checked in. I think it was 2 a.m. I don't know if it was time stamped, Mac, but yeah, it was interesting because I never had to. The curfew was the opposite. It's an opposite curfew where it's a reverse. So you want to be in after, I think, everyone else. But yeah, I appreciated it, and it kind of motivated us with kind of that new group to sort of like try to keep up. As we're talking about Saturday, one of the memories, right? Because I think Holly, you said it best, right? It's for all of us, like we don't remember anything. I think T-Roy's probably the closest person that can actually sort of line up everything sequentially. But for me, it's kind of like, okay, there's these key moments throughout that weekend. And I think one of them was when I came into Don Cherry's on Saturday, Coolio had his jacket on. I don't know if he had a shirt on, and he was starting the dance floor. It was pretty early. I think it might have been 9 or 10 a.m. or p.m., which felt pretty early, but he was lighting it up. And I think there was like a girls team around him, and there was one guy. And Coolio, I feel like he's right in his wheelhouse, right? Like he's been here 100 times. He's right in his bag. He knows exactly just how to kind of move this forward. But I think the one thing that kind of stuck out for me is when Monty came, because this is another thing which like the embrace that I saw between those two was heartwarming, because you saw this look as soon as Monty came in, and Monty was absolutely shattered already. It was probably 10 p.m., stumbling in the door. Coolio is just doing his thing on the dance floor. And as soon as they locked eyes, it was like Coolio was showing to Monty, like, we're doing it again. It's May long weekend. And they had this big embrace. And it was, this is why we do it, right? It's that camaraderie, it's that brotherhood. And, as cloudy as my memories are, that's one that kind of sticks out. So to you boys, I'll drink to that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll all drink to that. Now, Perry, before I come to you, because I do want to come to you on the Saturday night events, Chad has thrown up that Monty was a little bit angry Saturday night. I think we covered the Dragon Glass episode. Scotty, when did we do that? Was it last episode, the episode before? They're all blurring together.
It was 2 episodes ago, but I sent that to you in the chat thing privately because it came up. Like Monty definitely wanted to kill me in that tournament, but hey, much love.
In his defense, he did say that he thought you looked like the Night King. So
I'm not upset. There's no part of me that's upset. I get it. I just kind of had to stay away. That's all. No big deal.
He's the handsomest immortal Death King that I've ever seen. So I would take that's a big compliment to you. But before I want to go to Perry, one last thing, I do want to just make mention of Alec, our legend Alec, who at this point, Friday night, I believe, if I've got this chronologically correct, I got to think about this. Alec leaves Don Cherry's. He's been in the man van or the ghetto van. He's been in the man van all the way up. A lot of legendary things are happening. And by legendary things, I mean peeing in cups, drinking beers, stopping on mountain passes to go pee. Basically, that's it. Alex in the van. Friday night, he decides to go across the road to the hotel. He tries his key in several doors, can't find his room, so he falls asleep in the lobby, and only to wake up in the wrong hotel. So congratulations to you, Alec. You did outdo yourself on Saturday when our hotel is only a couple blocks from the beer garden, and you decided to go completely in the opposite direction and pass out in a bush, only to be woken up by a police officer and given a free ride back to your hotel, which I believe was the correct hotel on Saturday night. Chat, keep me honest here, but pretty legendary performance. And I do know when T Money was coming up with the awards, which he announced on the episode 1 around legendary things, I did lobby hard for most legendary rookie performance at one of these things. And I was thinking of you, Alec, because man, that's 2 nights. How are you gonna?
You missed the third night.
We're gonna get to that. But I want to go to Perry first. Perry, success on the field on Saturday with the 35s. Give me your memories from Saturday night. Let's dive into that.
Whew. Yeah, Saturday was I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a blur. Friday you can kind of comprehend some stuff because you're a little bit sober at the beginning, and then as Friday progresses, you get a little bit more involved, and then Saturday you wake up, you got to play some soccer. Yeah, it was a bit of a, like Glanville said there, RG said there, that Coquitlam team really had our number. And Saturday afternoon, that team wasn't so good. I think they were like even fighting with each other a little bit at some point. We sort of showed them how it was. Coolio and Spilly, well-deserved yellow jackets. Honestly, Saturday night was a bit of a blur. I'm not going to lie. I think it was just like fatigue and bit of consumption and, lots of stuff going on. And can I fast forward a little bit to Sunday?
Do it.
Okay, because Sunday seemed to me to be like a pivotal moment, turning point in the weekend where we didn't have a game in the morning, which is a bit rare for tourney weekend. We kind of rode it out and sort of I soaked up some rays. I was in the shade. Bremner, I know he's probably chirping me about wearing sunscreen as we speak, but yeah, we progressed through to Sunday, and we ended up linking up against that same Coquitlam team. It was, I don't know what was with this crew. It was like kind of they had our number this weekend, and they came at us. Like we ended up squaring up against them in the semis, and like they went at us right off the hop. Like 2 goals came at us right off the hop, and we were struggling. And could have been something to do with Don's the night before. Very, very likely. That's the one thing I want to say about the LWO is that we don't really take our nights lightly. We, in my head, I'm like, I'll take it easy, see what happens. And next thing you know, you've got a stuntman in front of you, or someone's bought you a Ryan Coke, and you're like, oh, I guess this is just what we do. And you're fired up, and you kind of roll to bed that night and hope for something to wake up and feel good about the next morning. And usually you do. You see Coolio, he's still wearing his kit from the day before. And, we were all having a good time. And so Sunday happens, and, these guys, I don't know what it was. Like I said, they came at us hard and scored 2 right off the hop. Like maybe first half they came flying, and halftime speech, like the leaders kind of come at us, like Mac, Troy, Holla, yourself. Monty comes out of the woodwork there. He's, we got to do better. You guys came out flat, and this is that, and this and all this. And, we're all in agreement. Like, we're not playing ourselves and not playing the way we can. And, I mean, truthfully, we're sweating rum and cokes and Ryan Gingers and that, but it's part of tourney weekend. So you got to rally. And, it like Glanville up top, RG up top there against that big tall sweeper, kind of, battling back and forth. And, Coolio made a huge save. So we're down 2-0 going into the first half and rattled. And first sort of like couple minutes of the second half, Coolio makes this breakaway save. Like, this guy's coming in hot. Had they scored, tourney done. We would have been in the gardens sulking, and we'd still drink, obviously. But he makes this blast and save. And I think that was honestly a turning point for me and for the rest of the boys in the weekend. I don't know how to even put it. Like, it just something clicked. We flicked a switch, and next thing you know, like, Glanville feeds Hot Carl, dynamite finish, and we bring her back to center within a span of 10 minutes. Bobby Null scores a scrambler, and then I don't even know what the hell happened. Like, my memory is foggy. T-Money's fed me a lot of this, and we end up like scoring a third goal, and we're just like, suckers, like, get out of here, Coquitlam. We don't even want anything to do with you. Get lost. And so we end up pulling out a 3-2 win. Like, at some point, I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, at some point, Glanville's going at their sweeper. This guy is as tall as, like, it's almost illegal. This guy is so tall, and he is just going at him, like turning him left, right, and center. At some point, this guy is like hands on knees, exhausted, And I can definitely remember this. So like specifically, I look over and I see Benny. Benny's just like, "Go at him, RJ! Go at him! You got him!" T Money's like in the background, just feeding it, like, "Get at him! Get at him!" This guy's exhausted, and Glanville turns this guy and just slots one. He's just disgusted, like he is beyond himself. He doesn't know what to do, and obviously that was a huge turning point in the weekend for us, and we end up winning 3-2. I did leave out a pretty key point beginning of the game. I might have missed a PK, but that was a trend of the weekend. RG missed one, I missed one. It was kind of a cool thing to do at the time. It was like kind of trending, so I thought it was cool. I thought I'd do it too, but I thought we were done when I missed the PK, and then they went up 2, and we totally redeemed ourselves going into the semis. So
yeah, and Perry, it was like I was thinking about this, and it's like I don't know if anyone is aware, but I was playing TRU like college soccer, I think a year before, right? And we were in the national tournament. We did pretty well, but it was like I'm going into this over 35 tournament, and I'm like, yeah, it could be fun, like a lot of good guys, but I was like, never thought I would be this invested in the outcome of a semifinal of an over 35 tournament. And it was just one of these things where, like Perry, like you said, it was just, the flip switch, I think, after Coolio's save, and we're like, okay, if we get one, we'll see what happens, right? And we just ultimately didn't like these guys. Like that tall center back was just fucking vanilla again. And it was something where, with that third goal, I still remember it. One of those moments where I do have a bit of a memory of it. And after it went in, we do the celebration, and like we're going along the sidelines, and we have the over 30, the over 40s just like lined up as well, watching and cheering. We've got 2 full teams that are, like completely into it, and we're watching, and some of us being a part of it on the field, and it was crazy because, I never thought I'd be like that invested in and that, I don't know. It was just like the feeling that we got after we, I think, went up 1, and we're doing like the sideline.
Like we're World Juniors, just running down the sideline, high-fiving. The sideline was the best part, to be honest. And that's what I do love about the over 35s, over 40s combo, is that you get that majestic kind of like camaraderie, and you look over and Monty's just standing there like a proud dad, and you get Coolio going ape shit in goal, and you get the flag. Like it's just like a sea of yellow. It's just, you love it. It's just
and let's talk about the beer gardens too, right? I mean, absolute fan favorites in the beer garden, and we're right in front of the beer gardens, and they're all kind of like pooling over. As soon as we got one, you're starting to build that attention, like, oh, they're back in it, right? Because LWO, I think everyone in the beer garden, wants to see us in the final, and we're kind of like the heartbeat of that beer garden. So if we do well, I think it bodes well for everyone in that beer garden. And as soon as we hit 2-2, you get more people coming in, and it was quite the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, and like they didn't really know it hit them, and that's just sport, right? Where the psychology, just a switch, everybody's on board, we're just firing. And yeah, Bobby Knoll, big shout out to Bobby Knoll. He's not watching, he's probably playing music somewhere, but he slotted the old scrambler, classic Bobby Knoll style, and RG just being RG, hanging out in New West, living the dream, slotting goals.
I like it, boys. I think Adamizer wants to come in on this point. Adam?
Yeah, just representing the 40s on the side. Like this was really an intense game, and when we go back to when we visualized a 35 and a 40s game, part of it was watching like awesome skilled players like you, both of you, and we were watching this game, and just it was so intense, and we were down 2-0, and then a goal gets slotted, and all of a sudden we have a chance, and everyone's on the side. They're probably on the field a little bit as well, and Bobby Knoll scores, Perry scores, Ryan scores this goal and runs to the side, does the bow and arrow. Everyone is just going livid, and it was the most magical time. And I don't know, but I know when I score with yellow on, it makes me feel so proud, and it's the best goals ever. So I just want to say how intense the side was, and how into that game we were. It was so good.
100%.
It's funny you should say that, Adam. I was when Ryan scored his goal, put us up 3-2. I made a run from like our back line from our 18 all the way up the side, and I've never been so open for anything. And earlier, before we went on air, Glanville described this as, I turned the big center defender, but it was like, no, he took on like 4 or 5, maybe 8, 11 guys. I don't know. He took on a lot of dudes. He just kept taking them on, and I'm screaming. I'm like, Ryan, I'm over here. Ryan, right next to the net. Give me that ball. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, is his name Sean? Am I getting them mixed up? Like, I'm pretty sure that's Glanville. I have no idea. And then he scored, and I went up to him and I said, you made the right choice not passing to me. Good job.
No, I agree, and there's a couple great things that come out of this conversation. The first thing, Perry, you kind of hinted at it. When you're down by 2 goals, some of the boys are coming at you. I think the chat can relate to this. I think the guys on the panel can relate to this. This jersey gets pretty heavy sometimes. It's not easy. There's not anyone that can put this yellow jersey on and carry it. And I think this is a really, really critical piece to pick up on, is that those 35s, you boys, you men, you carried that jersey, and it's not easy. Like, it's a heavy, heavy, heavy jersey, and being 2-0 down, the chips are down. But, Hollywood can't script this type of stuff, right? The chips are down. The beer garden wants us. They're willing the ball into the back of the net. The beer garden wants this. They just, it's just pure emotion and magnetism. And to overcome that emotion, to overcome that moment and play the way you guys did. And a great comment as well about having 2 teams. We've got the 40s on the sidelines, absolutely smash drunk, cheering you boys on. It's a moment that should give all LWO members goosebumps. And I know T Money made a comment in the chat earlier about having goosebumps. It's legendary. It's legendary. We throw around the term legends and legendary a bit too often sometimes, but this is truly a legendary moment. And as much as we say like that we knew it at the time, I think a lot of us did know that what we were witnessing was pure magic, and the purity of sport and the purity of LWO and guys stepping up to the challenge of wearing this jersey and really willing, like just through sheer willpower and skill, willing us to that win is a magical moment. And I know T Money said like with the 40s had to play after, that was a bit tricky. It was a bit tricky, but we got the job done with the 40s. A couple things about Sundays though. Sundays are Long Island Iced Tea Day, and I did see Adamizer, you've popped yours out. Typically a double Long Island Iced Tea. Typically a Don Cherries, typically in the morning, typically inspired by Coolio and paid for by Bremner. So cheers to you, Bremner. But a magical moment. So Long Island Iced Tea. I understand. I want to, I know we haven't heard from you in a bit, Adam, but I do want to go back to RG because I understand there's a guy on the, is it the Coquitlam team, right? That we play. Who had a bit of an issue. Can you walk us through that? Like what happened there? Because we're all wearing these heavy jerseys. We're throwing it down, and this guy had a bit of an accident. Can you talk us through it?
I think that's the story for Perry to tell.
Maybe it's for Perry.
I'm gonna pass that to Perry. I know the story, but Perry is the one to tell it. So I'm just gonna put myself on mute
Yeah, I don't mind taking this one. Yeah, so as we just described, the semis were a bit of a time. We had some issues fighting that Coquitlam team all weekend. They had our number, and Glanville basically exchanged phone numbers with the sweeper, and he's left the man down. That's not safe. But yeah, so
they pulled over. It's fine. It's safe. They're on 0 Ave or something. It's good.
I'll just say this, so that sweeper from Coquitlam, met Ryan initially and then immediately regretted meeting him. Glanville posted up on that guy multiple times, where it was the first game of the tournament, and then we met him in the semis, which I'm pretty sure he was not very excited about. Like I said, he was just getting run all over the place, hands on knees, exhausted. But basically, we won the semis, as we all described, and Sunday night was a bit of an interesting night. You got a bit of a turning point in your weekend. You can decide to go to the dance, which I like dancing. It's fun. It's a good time. But I also I like hanging out with the boys. So we decided that we wouldn't go to the dance because it was a bit of a far distance away, if I remember. It's always so far. And at that point, our legs are pretty tired, and we want to try to save them for finals Monday. And I think we had a pretty chill night, to start. Anyways, we had a Mr. Mike's dinner, if I can remember this correctly. It was like Lebs, and I think Troy and Mac, and the casual group of dudes just having a couple drinks and just relaxing. And there was a bit of a conversation about what we wanted to do for the rest of the night. And we thought, dance, too far. Let's go see what's happening at Dawn's. And so we do the old casual walk over to the Vernon Lodge and walk in, the music's bumping. There's such great hosts, the Vernon Lodge, and walk into the Dawn's. And it's honestly, I felt like I walked into an LWO fraternity. To my left, I look over and I see Monty, I see Dalek, I see Gussie, I see Guy, I see Niter, I see a bunch of the dudes just boothing it, just chilling out in the booth. And then to my right, I look over and I see Coolio, the lead singer AC/DC, no shirt on underneath the old jacket, living the dream, throwing out tunes, just having a time. And I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be. At this point of the night, this is where we're supposed to be. Bremner's in there, Benny, Benny and Bremner are just lounging by the bar, putting out the vibe, just chilling. Oh man, and we got Batesky, Kieski shows up, and there's just a crew of dudes. It's unbelievable. Richie's there. We got Jose and Predator, and just I think at some point, I'm not going to throw Spilly under the bus, but he might have been a bit absent working with the strobe lights in the back of the room. I mean, no kiss and tell there, Spilly. But T-Money's there, Max. Yeah, it's just a crew. Lebs is there with his bruised cornea. Yeah, he's just trying to see everybody and stuff. And Britchie shows up, and I think he buys the entire bar a round of drinks, which I was impressed by. I was like, holy shit, that's expensive, but he's a lawyer or something. That's cool. I can't afford that. I'm a teacher. But so anyways, night progresses. We're all feeling very tipsy, not what you would normally do leading into a final. Glanville's a stud soccer player, TRU, UBC, played a lot of games and stuff. I'm pretty sure coach isn't telling you to go to Don Cherry's the night before the final. So we're living the dream, That's what I love about LWO and the crew, where most teams would sort of let's take it easy, boys. Got a big game tomorrow and all that stuff. And we're just fuck that. We're going for it. Let's have a night, tie one on and show up, see what happens. And T-Money and I, we somehow we're on the same pee schedule, and we end up making our way to the bathroom and walking through the lobby, because the Vernon Lodge Dawn's, the bathroom's not in the same place. It's weird, but whatever. And make our way to the bathroom, and I hold the door open for Troy. He walks in, and immediately, second we walk in the door, like somebody is having an issue in the stall. I'm just trying to go to the bathroom. Like I'm just gonna go piss. And Troy's like, I'm gonna do the same. Yeah. So then all of a sudden you hear just like grunting. I'm like, that's not right. Someone's struggling. Like that's something's happening. Grunt, and then all of a sudden it's like someone hits like the stall door. I'm like, that's more than a poop. Like something's happening next door. And so I give, like, we're peeing, and I give him the old, like, we're well into it by this time. I'm like, hey, everything okay? No response. I'm like, that's weird. Like, normally someone would give us the heads up. So I automatically switch flips. I'm like, oh, somebody's having a bit of an issue. Either that or they're, getting involved. But so I'm like, oh, are you sure everything's okay? Like just bit of a mumble. I'm like, okay, like so at this point, T Money and I are just like stifling our laughter. I think he's fucked. Something's happening next door here. Let's wash our hands and just get out of here. And again, a little rattle of the old stall, and we just kind of make our way out politely, and it's like a lot of shaking. Anyways, make our way out to the lobby. We got to know who this guy is. Clearly, he's having an issue. I guess it would be worth mentioning prior to leaving, the guy, there's some underwear on the floor. The guy has like kicked his undies to the side. He's just like totally abandoned this pair of underwear. He doesn't want anything to do with them. And I'm like, oh, we've all been there, but I guess this guy's really struggling. So we end up vacating, like, just to give him his privacy. And we leave and try to, like, well, this is too good. Like, we got to know who this guy is. We got to put a face to these dirty underwear. And we end up, like, hiding behind some fake plants in the lobby of the Vernon Lodge, just, like, stealthing our way into this scenario. And he's a big dude. Like, when we were in the bathroom, like, that stall was shaking, and so we were like, oh, this isn't right. So we're like, we got to know who this is. This big dude, we got to recognize who he is. Sitting in the lobby, all of a sudden, the sweeper from Coquitlam walks out sheepishly, trying to be all anonymous. He's all stealthing his way out of this bathroom. T Money and I are like, this guy has totally shit his pants. He totally shit his pants. And I'm not lying to you. Like, he was like Murdoch Mysteries trying to sneak his way out of this bathroom. And we were like, this isn't right. Like, something's going on here. And Troy went off. Like he went off, and politely, T Money fashion, doesn't want to make a big deal, goes off back into Don Cherry's. I'm like, I can't leave it at that. I got to go back in to see what the damage was. So I go back into the bathroom, and I'm like CSI Miami, stealthing the place out. The guy is not a very good hider. He has hidden his dirty undies under like 2 plies of toilet paper. Like, he just like barely stacked them on top of each other. And I was like, well, this isn't right. Like, I was going to bring him out on Monday, but I didn't think it was going to be appropriate. But this guy, like, out of all the places he could have hit his underwear, he had hit him in the bathroom. So, like, he totally shit himself. He totally had shit himself. These are the, but it was black and yellow. Weird. He just totally shit himself. And hey, RG, you want to send me your address? I'm going to send these to you, pal. These are coming to you.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. Yeah, send it my way.
You got to frame this. So, so the guy, little did he know that I was going to go back in there and grab him. Anyway, Mac uses this story as a motivational speech the next day for our final. He's going nuts. He's like, We are so fired up for this final. Let's get after these boys. We got to get at them. We want them to shit themselves. Let's get at them. Come on. Go DJ Lambe. Let's go.
I like it. Like I said, boys, the jersey is heavy for many of us, but not as heavy as the underpants of our opposition. And Ryan, congratulations! It seems like you've won this week's contest, getting the black and yellow.
Yeah,
look at that.
I'm glad you fished those out of that stall.
Perry, can you hold those up one more time? They're George brand, but I would like to just see, it's sort of a Rorschach. I'd like to see if I can identify what that is. And chat, help me out. Keep me honest on this. Yep. What are we seeing in there?
Hummingbird.
I see a second place.
Exactly, Perry. Exactly. I do see second place.
Oh, I also see a handful of poop.
Very poopy. Sunday is an epic day, and there's a lot going on Sunday and I don't want to move on to Monday just yet. I recognize that we're an hour and 56 in, but like, I don't give a fuck. And you guys aren't going anywhere. There's a worldwide pandemic, and honestly,
Holla, can I interrupt you for a quick sec?
Yeah, hit me with it.
I mean, I'm a dad of 2 kids. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I would say, based on the splatter, I would venture to say that this guy's a 95% stand-up pooper.
Stand-up pooper.
Yeah, he definitely shit himself standing up.
That's risky, super risky.
We've had sit-down peers, and now we've got stand-up shitters. So, man, honestly, where else are you going to get this content? It's not on HBO. It's unbelievable. Anyways, shout out to the champ who's in the chat tonight. But before we move on to the epicness that is Monday, I do want to talk a little bit about Sunday. There's a lot of great things that happen on Sunday outside of the pitch. The pant shitter is just one of them. I believe that Sunday is the day that traditionally a handsome young gentleman by the name of Monty does his days of the week. And last year was a particularly epic and frightening episode of Days of the Week because Monty decided to make his way upstairs and sing from the window that is the storeroom for the Girl Guides. And in my recollection of that, thank you for asking, is that I was downstairs having a drink, and the ladies that are behind the bar, and shout out to them as well. I'm shouting everybody out tonight because I'm in a good mood and I'm happy and I'm raring to go. I'm just feeling like the chat right now. But shout out to them. One of the main ladies pulls me aside and she goes, he's in the Girl Guide room. He's like, I don't know. There's like a lot of Girl Guide stuff in it. And I do recall this, just like any other moment that I recall. There's all 4 of them from that weekend. I do recall saying to that young lady behind the bar, don't worry, he only likes the vanilla ones. So, you're going to be just fine. He'll leave all of the chocolate cookies. It's only the vanilla ones he likes, and you'll still recuperate a lot of your funds through selling of the chocolate cookies. Meanwhile, everyone else was worrying about Monty falling out the window. It was not my experience at all. I was intoxicated and partaking in everything the beer garden has to offer. The other important section, we'll come on to, I think we got a little bit of a video later, but the other important, really important piece about Sunday, and I may have this kind of mistaken, is that it is the emergence of beer tap technology. And I think whether you whether you're in the chat, whether you're on the panel, whether you're listening on Saturday, Sunday, whatever, this is an evolution of the highest order. And being able to walk up to the bar at the beer garden and just simply show your koozie, gentlemen. Chat, I'm holding you to it. I'm hoping you're holding yours up right now. Show your koozie. That's right. Beer tap technology emerges, one of the most amazing things in LWO history, and it really revolutionized the way we party. And somebody's removed themselves. Adamizer has removed himself from the stream, but he'll be back. Apparently, the man van is at the gas station right now. But really was an important piece, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it, because that's one of the highlights for me, is being able to show your koozie, taking ladies up with you. Hey, I got a koozie. Let's make it happen. Drinking tailspins. Shout out to Pebbles for correcting me. I don't like gin. I had about 8 tailspins, and Pebbles reminded me it was gin, in which that exact situation I said, I don't like gin, after realizing I'd had about 8 of them. Ended well. And one last story I'd like to share from the beer garden on Sunday. I'm pretty sure it was Sunday, and again, Saturday, Sunday, it just kind of blur together for me, is that I had the pleasure of talking with Spilly Benson in January at the Legends of Hockey Pacific Cup. And what a guy. And he pulled me aside in a quiet moment at the hockey tournament, and he said, Holla, I owe you a big thanks. And I said, oh, why is that? I mean, this is Spilly Benson. I should be thanking him for that rash medication that he prescribed to me. But he says to me, you know what, Holla? In the beer garden in Vernon last year, you played your recorder. And I'm not sure if he's lying right now or not, but he said, I was wooing this lady, as Spilly Benson does. I was wooing this lady, and based off of your private recorder performance for her and I got some action that night. And so as much as this episode is not a platform for me to brag about my recorder skills, I just thought, the proof is in the pudding, gentlemen. And so you're welcome, Spilly Benson. Much obliged. I am the ultimate wingman, in case you're looking, and I'm looking at you, Dr. Poulos. If you've been there, recorder solo will help you get some action as well. But a couple stories that I recall. I want to go to you, Adamizer, because you've just come back to us here. Any great stories from the Sunday beer garden before we move on to Monday?
Sunday, no, not a lot of recollections, other than being very worried that Monty could fall down from the window and land on everyone. That was a genuine worry. I think at some point I decided to, I've had a couple hockey fights in my time, and I decided to wrap Monty at some time that weekend, and it was the Sunday night, and I pulled his jersey and I gave him a couple slaps, and Troy said that was a bad idea. And as soon as I did it, I knew it was a bad idea. It was probably the worst idea since I tried to leg wrestle him a few years earlier. And so that's my recollection, is just, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to challenge Monty to these feats where I can't do it? I did jersey him, I did slap him, but I certainly can't beat him in a leg wrestle. Anyways, that's my Sunday. Something happened to Alec. I don't know what it was. It could have been the police took him home. It could have been that he slept in another hotel. It was his anniversary that weekend. So we'll talk more about Alec, I think. But
I think Sunday for Alec was the night that
we
he woke up.
Probably should. Yeah, no, we should talk about Alec a little bit more, because Holla touched on those first 2 parts. And then that night, I was standing next to him, and he had the jacket on, the blazer. He looked majestic and amazing. And he was in full thrill conversation, talking to everybody that would listen to him. He was great. And mid-conversation, he fell asleep and just fell on his face into the concrete. And he was okay, surprisingly. But that's where that started. there's more to it than that, but that's what I remember from that night. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Alec, full conversation, beautiful blazer, fell onto his face in the middle of a conversation, and to be continued.
And we'll leave that as the night before the finals to preface what's about to come.
It's a good segue, Cornette, I think.
I think that is a good segue. There's a lot that happened in that beer gardens on Sunday and Saturday, and it's hard to remember all of it.
We can't confirm or deny anything that happened. We don't know.
Some of the
All
flashing
we know
memories.
is beer tap technology, which was better than ATM, and that's it.
Can I just say something about the gardens for a quick sec?
100%.
So, like there's nothing like it. Let's be honest. At every turn, you see a buddy, and there's nothing really that compares. We all go to the club here and there. I don't anymore. I'm almost 40, but when I did go to the club, you'd see friends, and you'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" The gardens is like a concentrated version of the nightclub. You see all the people who you want to see in one moment. And you turn, you see Rory, you see Pebs, you see, old school.
And Pebs?
Yeah, I was seeing double that night. But you see old school. The guy makes a trip down from Salmon Arm just to kind of come to the gardens for one night. And, it's like unbelievable. And beer tap technology makes it a lot easier to get drunk, which I think we would all agree with. But it's something else. Like you strike up a conversation, Koski, legend, Nessman. You strike up a conversation with him, you start chatting, Lebsy, and Poulos wasn't there because he was, doing his doctor thing and stuff, which, a good career choice or whatever, but you missed out on a weekend. But yeah, that's what I really appreciate. You just kind of go from one conversation to the next, you catch up, and that, the diversity of our group is unbelievable. Scotty's, he works for NASA, and Holla works for, Tesla and stuff. And it's kind of cool. You can just sort of strike up a conversation with anybody and see where they're at and what they've been up to for the last year. The gardens are epic.
I think it's great. And I mean, just some of the random memories from that garden last year. One, there's the whole subplot of Sammy Yeager trying to buy that lady's hat. I think it was a sparkly hat that says something like "I love soccer" on it. And Scotty, how high did he go on his bid? Do you remember? How much money was he willing to give that lady? And she wouldn't sell.
I wasn't there for the full thing. If I was just gonna pick a number, 250.
I want to say it would have been more than that. Like he was up in the 400s for this ugly soccer hat, and the Asian lady did not budge. She was like, no. Like, and actually, he had money. He showed her cash, and she was like, "No, I'm not interested. I'm walking."
I like it. And of course, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Clark was with us. RG, big influence. I have this memory of him holding LWO Orton, which made its appearance on Sunday in the gardens. But also, Chad is reminding us of something about glitter wings. Is that something that you wanted to tell us more about, or are you going to stay mum on that one?
Probably best if I say mum. It's a foggy memory at best, and I think for Pebbles' sake, we'll probably just save that for next year.
I do remember Pebbles' dad was in the beer garden, and I remember saying distinctly to him that I like The Rock more than Pebbles, with Pebbles there. So shout out to you, Pebs. I think that's how that went down. But a lot of epicness going in the beer garden.
All right, I can't say mum.
You got it. You gotta say. I tried to rescue that, but you gotta say.
No, so Pebbles, we were keeping an eye on him for quite some time. I think that was Sunday night, and that's when I think the wheels started coming off for everyone. And Pebbles was driving a hard bargain, I think, throughout the night. And I think it ended with kind of a, I think she left, and I think Pebbles was kind of bamboozled. I think that's the word he used. But we're all kind of concerned. We thought things were going a different direction, and there was a business card exchange. I think she was in full glitter. There was some glitter everywhere across the face. And I think that's how we can leave it there, Holla.
I like it. Totally epic and just a great Sunday, boys. Listen, before we move on to Monday, two things. Big shout out to the chat for hanging with us. We still got 25 guys, 2 hours and 10 minutes. We're going for the record tonight. But as you do when it's Legends anniversary, 2-time champs, we killed it a year ago. I do want to check in. First of all, make sure you've got enough beers. RG, you might be a little low.
Ortiz.
The second thing, and say for you, chat, make sure you got a fresh one, or a fresh couple. And the second thing I want to check in on, it's 11 p.m. on Friday night. Where are we in the Man Van Adamizer? Where are we right now?
Well, I think we're 11. We're probably in Vernon, pretty close. And we're probably taking our bags out. We probably had a couple rye bowls. And scarves are out. We're having a good time. And we're probably just debating, let's go over to Don Cherry's. This is kind of where we're at this point. Most of us, except for Troy, who's been driving the Man Van. Big shout out to Troy, who drives it every year. We're having a real nice time.
I love it. And again, we're trying to relive the magic here, boys. We're trying to relive the action. I'm running low on beer, but I'm going to make a fridge run here once I tee up the next little bit. But basically, we're at the end of Sunday. 2 hours and 11 minutes in. Shout out to Luke. Thanks for joining us a little late, Luke, but you haven't missed too much. Just the first 2 days of a May long weekend.
Biggest calves in the LWO, I want to say. Grinder, biggest calves in the LWO.
Wow, that's a big claim, because Butcher did play at least one tournament for the LWO, and he is
second biggest,
all calves and
biggest
nipples,
calves.
that guy.
Competition.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I think we covered Sunday, and I think we've covered it really well. And all of us have some really great memories of that beer garden. All of us have some really great memories of the day. But let's move into Monday morning, because business off the field is always complemented by business on the field. We've got two championship finals, so there's some pressure there. Pressure and hangover / still drunk, they kind of go hand in hand. We talked about the weight of this jersey. I don't think anyone is feeling like it's light on Monday, because to go from 2018, where it ends in disappointment, we've got a lot of guys don't get to play a lot. We have this epic Man Van ride back to Victoria. We decide there's two teams. It feels like the moment's been building. It feels like things are in motion, that we can't stop. And just like an RG pop and lock, we're hoping that they'll end well, that they'll impress all that view us. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we've got the 40s first. And I'd like to share a story about the 40s, because I think I'm best suited out of the panel to share this story. It does involve rookie Alec again. But we enter into the final, and it's going to be a tough game. We know it. We're hungover. We're drunk. Dolly and I are coaching. Monty's still there. He's still around. He's thereabouts. And we get Reed out as the emergency goalkeeper, because nobody knows where Alec was. Alec, as far as he's concerned, is the starting goalie in the final for the over 40s for LWO.
He's not there.
Not there.
Not there. He's the goalie in the final. Where the fuck is Alec?
I saw Reed in the chat tonight. I think he still might be around.
Reed.
Big shout out to you, Reed. We show up, we get Reed warmed up, And about a minute before game time, Alex shows up, dressed for the outfield, not dressed to play in goal. Went to find the lake. So we get started, and Dolly and I are chatting, and both of us have had a conversation with Alec, and Alec is completely incapable of making eye contact, which is generally a good sign that you're seriously intoxicated. Dalek and I basically have a disagreement about whether Alec should play. I won. We put Alec on. Alec, shout out to you, my friend. I see you in the chat. Reed, I see you in the chat as well. We put him on, I think we put him on the wing, but he finds his way up in front of goal in the final. Let's paint the picture. Let's take our time with this. Let's paint the picture.
I'm pretty sure Alec walked back from the dollar store with a juice box prior to kickoff.
Entirely possible.
Yeah.
But let's paint the picture because we're all here. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes in. We're nowhere near being done right now. But let's paint the picture. A young man who's been called up the week before. It's his wedding anniversary. The previous 3 nights, we've got a sleep in the wrong hotel lobby, picked up by the police, left alone at the beer garden despite us all being with him.
All of a sudden,
boom. Moment of clarity. Moment of clarity. It's like God reached down and touched him right here in that moment. He pops up in the box and scores a goal. And I'll never forget it because the windmill cheer as he ran around. Wow. What a moment. What a championship. And we knew from that moment on when we put our drunk rookie goalkeeper on to score a goal that there was nothing that could stand in the 40s way. There's nothing. Listen, there's nothing that could stand in our way when that shit goes down. And it was a magical moment, but we knew we were a team destined for the victory. And Adamizer, I sense you want to come in on this.
I want to get on this.
Yeah.
So we're in the finals. This is the 40s finals. This is everything we dreamed about. 40s finals followed by 35s finals. And we show up to the field. We're getting our stuff on. And Alec, who we brought in, who is a goalie / player, he's not there. We're like, where the fuck is our goalie? And so God bless Reed, who's there. And he steps in, and Reed's a dynamite goalie. So he shows up. And I distinctly remember that we're playing this game, and we're up 1-0. Max slips me a ball, and I put it in. We're up 1, and you give me a break, and you put Alec on, and Alec goes on there, and he's just running around like crazy. He scores this goal, and he windmills, and it's fucking dynamite. And then all of a sudden, like you told me, I remember on the side, Adam, we're going to give you 5-10 minutes rest. Just have a rest, take it easy, and then we're going to get you back out there. And after Alex scores this goal, he's fucking gassed. And all of a sudden, he's looking really vulnerable. And I remember you looking at me, he's like, this is going to be a little bit shorter than I told you. and he did his part. He got out there, he showed up late, scored the goal, windmilled, and then we pulled him off. And it was a hell of a final. And you don't get that often, that kind of a story. But Alec did it. It was his anniversary, like you said. It was on and off, whether he was coming or not, because we had some other goalies. And he did his part to be a legend for that weekend. Cops taking us home, sleeping in whatever hotel he slept in, scoring the clincher.
I just want to know, like, when Alec comes home after a weekend away from his wife and kids, I just want to know the conversation. Hey, babe, yeah, just went away with the boys, just to Vernon. Yep, that's it. That's all.
What kind of shape was Alec in for that game? We haven't even touched on that. Like, what happened to him that night?
We don't even know. He showed up, and we're just like,
Some of us know.
We're like, where's our goalie? God, we have to have a goalie to play the final. And
I want to know the state of the hotel clerk that found him.
yeah,
Hey, sir, just quick question for you. Where are you sleeping here tonight? No, I'm staying at the Sandman.
No, that the night before the championship, he was escorted out of the beer runs. We were trying to get him home. I think Bremner was one of the people that was his handler that night. And,
Oh,
and
what could possibly go wrong?
I thought Cornette was there too, but he kept just bolting. He just ran away like full sprint. And we kept commenting to ourselves, like, how is this guy getting away from us? Like, he is, though, but he's in no shape to do this. But he was getting away from us. And then he started running towards like those cement blockade things, the barriers. And we're like, oh, God, he's not going to try and jump over that, is he? Because he's not going to make it. And he didn't try to jump over it. He tried to run through it and then smashed his knees and shins to complete garbage. And that's how he showed up the next day. His knees and shins were just bloody to all mess. That's what happened that night.
Reed was told his backup died, so probably that's a really good call, Reed.
It was close.
So,
That's almost like the time that Champ killed off Perry in episode 2 of LWO Radio. He wasn't quite dead.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, 40s soccer, so we can get away with that kind of stuff. And that's what we always hope for, is to go up to 40s, be 18 again, and win tournaments whether we're there or not. And what happens. So anyways, let's move on to 35s finals, because that was a good time.
Well, I think so, but a big shout out to Alec and raise your glasses to him, because what a rookie performance at a tournament for LWO. Great show, Alec. I mean, we are going to move to the 35s here in a second, but when your goalie is windmill cheering, hammered drunk, and I can only assume he was hammered drunk, and maybe that's a debate that Dolly and I will have for another day, but
there's no debate.
Yeah, he was in rough shape, but listen, he killed it. What a performance! What a performance! All right, let's move on to the 35s final, because in a lot of ways, having the 40s win early, while it is reassuring for the 40s, it just cranks up the pressure on the 35s to perform. Because now we see 2 tournament victories in sight. We see the road that's before us. We see that destiny that could come true, and it's not going to be an easy thing. I want to go to you, RG, first. I wanted you to walk us through a little bit about that 35s final, what you remember, what you think, what you're thinking going into the game. I would also like you to touch on the fact that some of the new guys were doing some weird bobsled stretching with LWO Orton, or something was going on there. But walk us through the 35s.
Yeah, I mean, my take going into that game was that I think Bob Ross lost in the other side of the semis. So I feel like that was kind of the one team, the other team that worried us. And with them not being there, it kind of felt like, it was ours for the taking. I think we can all agree to that, unless we really, really fucked it up. But I mean, going into the game, I think we wanted to do everything we could to make sure that we were ready. So one thing that we like to do for big games is we like to do the bobsled stretch, where we basically get the legs around the other guy in front of you, and his legs are in front of the other guy. So I think there was a few of us, and once again, the memory is a little bit fuzzy, but I think Clark was right behind us. So Clark Randall was watching this, and I feel like he wasn't surprised or shocked. He's seen this kind of behavior before. I think he's kind of instilled it in his boys. So I think he was more proud of the stretching than any performance on the field. But going into the final, I think it was one of these things where it's like, okay, the over 40s, they took care of business on their side. this could be a really incredible beer garden experience if we can take care of business on our side. So we kind of went in and I feel like we potted early. I think there was I recognized a few faces from the team, a few folks from Kamloops. There was like a really tiny defender on my side.
Yeah, if I can interject, that guy had a lot of sweatbands.
The most sweatbands I've ever seen. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to interject as well. I don't want to get too far off of the stretching because we're getting into the game now, and I don't think that's the highlight here. So when I see 3 or 4 people like bobsledding and stretching, what kind of muscles are you stretching? And remember, as I'm questioning you, I have recommended things like the Retractisac, the phoner that proved that I had a boner earlier. I got my shit bit here. So remember, these things don't really shock me, but the stretching that I saw that day was odd. So what were you stretching?
It's a combination. So I think it's a deep massage as well. It's a deep massage where you try to, I think, get into certain muscle groups that you typically don't work out before the game. So it's a bit of
your sphincter and your penis. I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of like guy Pilates, but it worked out for us, didn't it, Scotty?
Oh God, wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, big shout out again to Clark. I think that speaks to it right there. Like the history of our program, our club, the LWO. It's got its roots in a variety of different places, and seeing Clark on the sideline having a laugh, I think that's motivation in itself. That guy, yeah, he's a legend. Like I only met him that weekend. I already knew. You just sort of meet people and right away the type of
I appreciate you saying that, Perry. I mean, he had a stroke 12 years ago, and I mean his life has been soccer, and like the joy he gets from watching, the guys that he coached at Kalamita or whatnot, playing in this type of format as well. It's just like there's nothing better for him. So I'm glad that you could see that.
And as Bremer just said in the chat there, pull off field Texas Mickey, absolutely legendary. Just proves his weight right there in gold. He's 100% legend.
You bet.
I love it, boys. Good stuff all around, and a great shout out to Clark. I know he got a shout out from Benny in the Williams Lake episode, but was a real highlight to see him on the pitch. And the 35s final, I think a lot of guys were like, look, once Bob Ross was done, like once Edmonton entered, we knew we had it. But it does take a lot of credit to the boys to really get her over the line. I mean, it's easy to just assume you've won, but you still got to go out there and perform. And it was a big moment in LWO history to confirm the title. I do have a couple things from a media perspective that I want to go to, but I will open it up to the floor first before I do that. Maybe I'll go to you, Adam. Do you have anything to add about the 35s, clear beer, anything like that?
Yeah, well, a couple things, I guess. Well, I'd like to I'm really curious from the crowd out there who's listening and watching. We have 2 really epic goals off the bench. We have Alec coming off the bench, hungover. We didn't know he was the goalie. He was the goalie who should have started. Comes up, scores, windmills, and we're up 2-0. The other big goal off the bench that I recall is Jason Bremner saying to Monty, "Hey, Monty, sub me in, and I'll score off my junk." And he goes in, he runs out, and Joe Sawada, who we're dedicating this episode to, crosses the ball, and Jason puts it off somewhere between like middle thighs and abdomen. I can't confirm where or when it hit, but he hits it, goes in the net, and he's caught in the net, and then he subs off. So 2 really big goals off the bench, and I'm really curious for the crowd that are watching tonight, what would they would say was the biggest goal or best goal off the bench. Those are the 2. And other than that, we were talking about the 35 finals, and I guess what I remember, I was sitting on the 35s bench watching this final, and all I saw in the cooler was this clear, whoa, this way, clear beers. I'm not sure who brought it.
That's weak.
I don't know, but But thank God there was a Texas Mickey sitting on the side where we could watch the 35 final, and we could spike this. We could put a little bit of rye in our light beer to make it a proper beer. And so God bless Texas Mickey's, and whoever brought the clear beers, it's time to own up. Because I had to steal this from the BC liquor store because I wasn't going to pay for this. This is fucking 4% beer. Goddamn.
If you're joining us now and you're in law enforcement, Adam is not in fact driving a van. It's special effects on LWO radio.
I'm in the middle seat. So anyways, that's my recollection. But I will say there was a point in the 35 finals because we'd already won, and the thing about the 35s is like we're on the side, we're having a good time. Me, Benny, the sneeze puker, and Brenner, we're all on the side. We're having a nice time drinking clear beers with rye, and all of a sudden, someone gets hurt. I think the left back might have been Cheese. I don't know. They come off, they come to the side, and someone looks at us and they said, "You guys going to go in?" And we're like, "We can't go in. We're drinking clear beers." And so Troy was like, "Oh, fuck you all," and he puts on his ankle brace, and Troy goes out there. And we didn't want to be vulnerable. We didn't want to put anyone in who's had too many clear beers. And so Troy went in and we sealed the deal. And we went 2 victories 1 weekend. And that's all I have to say about that.
2
Black
times.
and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah, I love it. Boys, before we move on, just take a moment to recognize two championships 1 weekend, LWO. This is the moment. This is the moment. Adam and his man band. The boys are online. Cheers to that epic moment. All right, we're keeping this to a tight 2.5 hours. Still a few segments to go. Before I move on, I was able to source 2 videos that have never before been seen by this crew, or maybe only a couple have seen it. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to share these videos, which I was able to get copies of this week. This first video, as you can see, is a sideline view. It's not the best view, but this first video is, of course, the sidelines. So the clear beer and everything. And this is when we knew the 35s had wrapped it up. So I just want you to watch and enjoy this because it's a special moment. It's great to be able to capture this in video. So obviously a great moment, and you can hear the black and yellow being called out there. The nice thing about that is that I think it was Gracie that went over to the beer garden and got black and yellow to be played. So not a video that's shown that often, but a great video nonetheless. And I hope you guys were able to just just for a moment, you're back on that pitch or on the sidelines cheering the boys on. I do have one additional video also supplied, one again that has not been seen, but I'm excited to show it. This is after the LWO win, and after the 35s win. We'll have to make it a little bit bigger. And this is the tunnel that the boys made. And of course, you can see the 40s at the beginning and then the 35s as they come through. And I believe it might even be pebbles that goes down to all fours. But here we go. See Reed there. So there you go, boys.
Chills. I got chills.
A couple moments captured on video. I did get those videos from Paige, so thank you very much for that. Filming the LWO legends as they're in all their glory, and I, like you, Perry, whenever I watch that, I get chills. Able to get those videos and be able to share them with you guys. I hope for a brief moment there as we watch that, it took us all back. And it might be the alcohol speaking, but 2-time champions in one weekend has a nice ring for it. And we're going to be 2 years in a row because it carries through world pandemics. But we are 2-time champions and fantastic. We'd originally planned to show you guys the video that's on the LWO YouTube of the highlights. But I think we're going to skip over that just in the interest of time. You guys can check that out. It is on LWO Radio's channel. Check out LWO 2019. Nice little picture collage of some of the amazing things that happened that weekend to back all of us up. But yeah, it's been a fantastic walk down memory lane. Now, despite the fact that we're 2 hours and 37 minutes in, we got 25 live viewers still. Thanks, legends. We're not quite done yet. Much like the Perfect Day episode with its chapter 10 sit down ping reveal, there is a story that happens after our 2 championships, which is just an amazing moment. But the man van has to make it back to the island, and I think I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to go to with this. RG, obviously you're out, but I think Scotty, I'm going to go to you.
Scotty.
Just quickly, can you just talk us through the trip home in the man van? Or man van and the ghetto van, for that matter.
I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try. On the way up to Vernon, you had pee issues. You had to stop right outside of the Bridal Falls Shell gas station, which is an amazing sponsor of ours. But I'm talking like seconds before it. And you had to pee into a Gatorade container. Good for you. But then we stopped at the Bridal Falls gas station and we filled up on everything you could possibly think of, which is amazing. And then we made our way up to beautiful Vernon by the sea, and it was amazing. On the way back, you possibly, I don't want to name you, but I'm going to name you. It was you. You had some, again, issues with I can't hold my urine anymore. This has to happen right now. So we improvised, like, what do we have available right now? And we had a giant Wendy's cup, like a giant Wendy's cup. It was huge. And you said, that's got to do. This is happening now. And you started tea in this cup in front of everyone. And I think you were sitting next to Luke, who is brand new to the team. So now he's witnessing.
Carl, I was listening.
Oh, sorry. So I'm sorry, Carl. Hot Carl sitting next to you, watching this unfold. He's seen the Holla fountain, and that's amazing. And then you start yelling like, "This isn't going to be enough, bud. It's a big cup. Like it's got to be a liter, and this isn't enough. I need another cup." And we start yelling like, "Dude, there's no more cups. Like this is it. Like, what do you mean? You just stop." And to the normal person, we're thinking like, "Dude, just you got to stop." But you were adamant. This isn't a thing that can stop. This has to happen. Nature says this is going to continue. And I didn't understand, but I saw the future ramifications of this thing. So you were sitting in the middle with Hot Carl there, and you saw your options as to hold this giant cup of pee and possibly pee on the floor, pee on anything else. And then someone yelled, "Throw it out the window." Well, to the people in the back row, that's a bad decision. So that's me, Adamize, and Bremner. And thank God I was the one that heard that statement because the window went down on the side. Adam's got a wicked awesome Toyota where the window actually goes down on the minivans. But I figured physics would say that pee's not all going right out the door. And you tossed it, and I went full duck and cover. And regardless, all of us got a little bit of covered with Holla pee. And then you continued peeing in the cup.
There's people in third world countries that pay a lot of money for that, Scotty. So
But they don't.
The truth of the matter is that, and Carl will back me up on this. The second row had quite a rivalry with the third row. Third row had Adamizer, Bremner, and Scotty in it. Second row had Carl and Holla. And the simple matter of it is that if you drink twice as much as everyone else, you're going to have to pee twice as much as everyone else. I don't feel like I need to defend this, but at the end of the day, maybe I do. But at the end of the day, I think there's only two words that I have to say to all of you in the third row, and that is, you're welcome.
You know what? At the end of the day, we can always put on another ferry, right? We got Bremner. If we don't make the 9, there can always be a 10.
Holla, do you mind commenting on that ferry situation, or is that still sensitive?
It's not sensitive for me, but I think Bremner might have issues.
We own the ferry schedule, so.
Quick question, Bremner in the chat. Do you mind commenting as to whether or not you're over it?
We got to wait now for Bremner to respond, but for those of you who don't know what was going on, Bremner made the claim that, and he works for BC Ferries, so he's in the know.
Do you want me to talk about this, Holla?
It's maybe better if you talk about it.
Probably good for Scotty to put it out. Go ahead.
I've gone hard at Bremner on this.
Ferry.
Hit it.
What we heard, so we were fighting time on the way back to Victoria, and there wasn't any big forest fires or anything like that, which we've seen in the past, but we were fighting time, and we were fighting gas. The man van was really, really low, and we were going down hills on neutral. We were doing everything we could. We finally got into a gas station, and we were just fighting like, everyone go, go, go. We need gas, 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 gas. And then Bremner decided to take a 15-minute poop for something. Unrelated to the story, but like seriously, that's the worst time to do that. And then we started flying back to the thing, and he's like, "Relax, guys, I got this. I got this." He's like, "I put on a 10 p.m. sailing. It's no big deal. I work at the ferries now. I put on a 10 p.m. sailing," and he's worked there for maybe a couple of months or something. And sure enough, yeah, we get on this 10 p.m. sailing, and it's fully staffed and everything like that, and Bremner is standing there taking full responsibility for this. So, you know, God bless Jason Bremner, because I can't prove he didn't do this, but my gut tells me, are you fucking kidding me? Like, but anyway, we're on the 10 p.m. sailing, and he to this day says, "Well, you could have been on the 10:45 to Duke Point and then drove an hour and a half back." But hey, We were on the 10.
Way to take it easy on him, Scotty.
Yeah, you went easy. He's still claiming in the chat. He's still taking credit. Despite the fact that T Money sourced the article in the Times Colonist from the year before when Bremner did not work for BC Ferries and BC Ferries put on a 10 p.m. May long, he's still claiming it. So whatever. And so I think concludes the segment around the 2019 two championships. Before we completely close this segment, there's a question that I ask every guest, and I'm going to come to each of you. And RG, I'm going to start with you. You know, the question tends to morph a little bit. It's generally either when did you know it was special, when did you know it was for life, but in your experience playing for the LWO, being a part of this great group of boys, when did you know it was a lifelong commitment? And when did you know there was magic connected to this?
Yeah, it was definitely last year. I think 2018, it was a lot of fun. I got a new toaster out of it, but I feel like it's tough to kind of be without a championship, and I feel like 2019 did that. And I feel like the way that we kind of rallied around everything, around each other, and just the stories kind of like on the pitch, off the pitch. I'm dying, and I think reliving a lot of these memories. It's all coming back. But as I said, it was something where I kind of went into this being like, okay, it's an old timers tournament. I think we'll have a few beers, but I was not prepared for what ensued. And now it's like every year, it's like you kind of circle that May long weekend on the calendar, and it's something that I'm super excited to kind of keep that tradition alive. And obviously, like, what a incredible group of guys that we have assembled here. So yeah, I think that was a date, Holla.
I love it, RG. Perry, your hair's looking a little worse for wear, but we're not so judgy. Yeah, just rotate it, you'll be good. Perry, the same question to you. Like, you've been involved with LWO maybe a little bit longer than RG. When do you know you're involved with something special? When do you know that this is maybe something more than just a soccer team?
Yeah, it started early for me. I would say like 2005 was my introduction, and like RG said early in the conversation there, like tourney weekends they're just beauty. They're legendary. You come home from a weekend away with the boys and, slugging it out in a tourney, and you can't even begin to explain what happened. You're like, oh yeah, beer tap technology. People are like, what the? And, like, oh, we were at Don Cherry's having a good time. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds like you had a fun time. But yeah, it's just, there's nothing to explain it. And I think that just proves how important it is and how fun it is and how legendary it is. And, I want to just big shout out, and I know we're not doing shout outs yet, but like T Money and Mac and, yourself and Scotty and, Benny and all the boys, just, making it all important. And I think that's a big thing, the swag. You walk into the gardens, just see a yellow, and never in my life have I ever experienced anything like it, where you walk into a beer garden and 30 of the 70 people, and you're just having a good old time. So yeah, it's special. So I love it. I love everybody a part of it, and I'm looking forward to 2021 when we can revive the LWO yellow colors. So.
Yeah, I like that, Perry, and that's a great show because things are just on pause, legends. Don't worry. Things are just on pause. And if anyone believes that 2019 was the pinnacle of our success, you just wait. You wait. Because once we come out of things that are going on currently worldwide, we're going to be hungry. We're going to be hungry for some championships. And I feel bad for any team that faces us in 2021, 2022, 2023. Heck, I saw Levi, I heard Adam talk about it, wait till we get to 70. So some good points there, Perry. Adamizer, a man like RG from the puddle, from Williams Lake. We've had a lot of coverage on Williams Lake in previous episodes. I saw early on, Kelly Vincent. We've got Stanch, a lot of folks, Bremner, a lot of folks from the puddle involved in LWO radio. But for you, when do you know that this is a special group of guys that you're a part of?
Yeah, I think for me, I remember really distinctly, like I remember playing against LWO a lot in the early days in Fraser Inn. And if anyone wants to go on Zoom and talk about McGuire Lake and crossface chicken wings, we'll do that. But for me, 2013, I turned 35, and it's like I'm 18 again. And I remember going to this tournament. First of all, it's Legends of Hockey. I've been playing in 101 hockey with a team called the Goats. We're winning championships, and Chris and Troy invite me to go to play Legends of Hockey, and I go down there. And this is the second year. They win the first year. I'm in there on the 8-0 Didsbury win. And Ben Stanchfield gives me this is the LWO koozie. It looks like a magical koozie right now because that's what it is. But anyways, that happens, and we get back, and Mac gives me this scarf, and he goes, Cornet, give the scarf. So I take that. Probably looks like a magical scarf depending on where he put it. But anyways, we get through that, and so just killing teams and having a good time. And I also remember at that time, my third kid was 1, and that would put my second kid somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4, and my original kid a couple years older. But I don't want to put dates on things. So, anyways, that was a really good time. And we go to Vernon, and that year we destroy teams again. And I remember very distinctly going to the Sandman, having a real nice time. And it's just like, God, I got 3 kids. I'm going to shut the blinds. I'm going to have a nap. And then we're going to play some soccer. We're going to destroy teams. And we're going to have a good time in the beer gardens. And at that time, I was hooked. Like, I had naps. I had killing teams. I had, I'm not home. I'm in Vernon. And I've got a scarf and a koozie. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for? This was a really good time. And after 2013, I was hooked. And so I think that's all I got to say about that. But anyway, over to you.
Nice one. I appreciate you're still in the man van. And I appreciate that all the legends that are riding the man van are buckled up. So safety first, legends.
Well, safety first.
Safety first. And so wraps the Origins of 2019. I hope you've enjoyed it. Just a couple small segments to go, and then we're done. 2 hours and 53 minutes. We still got 23 legends watching us live. Unbelievable. If any episode was going to crack the 3-hour mark, it was going to be this one. And it's been a blast to drive down memory lane. But what a trip it's been. So moving on, a segment that we often run, a segment that is so good, a segment that we call Where Are They Now? And this week we'd like to do Where Are They Now? And I'm going to go over to Scotty, who's doing Where Are They Now? Scotty, are you with us? I believe he's dialing out on the Where Are They Now?
Hey, Perry.
What's going
on?
Hi.
I'm doing the thing right now, the LWO thing, and
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do a thing like Where Are They Now? And I totally dropped the ball. I didn't do anything on that.
I'm right here.
No. Just stick with me. I know you're watching. Just answer this. Where are you right now?
I'm kind of in the middle of something right now, Scotty.
Yeah, I get that. What?
Yeah, well, it's kind of important. It's an LWO radio show, actually. Glanville's a part of it, and Cornet and Holla's here. This is a bit. You're right there, bro. I don't know what to say.
I thought you were Sean Glanville this whole time.
I know that. Well, I do have a lot more hair than Sean, but you might be trimming it.
So you're in like the Lower Mainland somewhere?
Yeah, I live in Abbotsford. I'm currently living in the Bible Belt.
There we have it. Mike Perry is in Abbotsford at this moment right now. That's where he is now. Back to you, Holla. God,
Oh,
I suck.
Don't beat yourself up,
Stupid.
Scotty.
Stupid.
At least the phoner segment was dynamite.
It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb.
No worries. No worries. Hey, listen, legends, if you're still with us, a couple announcements to make. Next week, we will be back with LWO Radio, the 6th and final episode. Scotty and I will be joined by some absolute beauties. We're talking about lights out action. We will be going for the record on a number of things, probably over 3 hours, under 3 hours, who knows. But Niter will be joining us, Coolio, and we have secured Monty. So if you're with us right now and you're watching along, Monty will be joining us for the final episode of LWO Radio. It's going to be a big moment. The other legendary announcement, I understand that Jay Haas has bought a house. Batesky was involved as the realtor, so shout out to you, Jay Haas. And one last thing, there's a couple legends we didn't really mention a lot this episode. Guys like Gary, English Dave, Hump. So some guys that contributed this year, but I know why Scotty's laughing because Gary, Gary.
Who the fuck is Gary?
You don't even know that guy.
Gary was my shout out tonight. Damn.
Well, let's move on to shout outs, shall we? So without further ado, let's move on to shout outs. I'd like to go to Perry first for his shout out of the episode. Perry, who are you shouting out tonight?
Well, I think eyes are a very important part of the body. I can't see without them, and during these tough times, I just think vision is as important as anything. My shout out this week is to the Murray Hurlburt, who goes by a variety of different names: Murdog, Mike Walker. I'm sure there's multiple names, but Murdog might be the most fit dude for his age. And he's got a reputable job as an optometrist, but look him up. He's out in Maple Ridge. If you ever get your eyes checked, he's dynamite. If you need some prescriptions, he'll tinkle you with a little angel dust on tourney weekend whenever you need it. I don't want to incriminate the man, but he's a great dude and fit as a fiddle. Love the guy. Murdog, respect.
Shout out to you, Murdog. Thank you for tuning in. Murdog did email us before the show. It seemed like he was just finding out about LWO Radio. I feel like after 5 episodes, you've got something like 12 hours of content to work your way through. So, Murdog, shout out to you. I want to go to you, RG, next. Who is your shout out?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it in the puddle. A lot of fellas to nominate, but I think for me it's Benny Stanchfield tonight, and I feel like with Bram and Stanch and Gussie and like the list goes on. But I feel like growing up in Williams Lake, I had a lot of older brothers, and for me with Stanch, he was kind of the first guy to actually like make a proper university team. So he played for U of A. I think Gussie was playing UVic, but yeah, it was awesome having these guys around. Kind of set the path to have guys like that can kind of groom you and compete against and whatnot. Yeah, Bremer, I see you in the chat. He did fuck me up quite a bit. We would wrestle a lot, but anyways, yeah, Stanch, this one's to you, buddy. Love you. Try not to bite me next time we see each other, and yeah, I'll drink to you.
Guys, very bitey.
There's some hard lessons that need to be learned on the bitiness of Benny Stanchill, but good shout out. Adamizer, I'd like to go to you next. Who is your shout out?
My shout out is to all the LWO maniacs out there, all the offspring of the LWO. I think there's 50 to 60. If we include Benny, there could be 70 to 80. I don't really know. That's a hard number to judge. But the bottom line is there's a whole group of kids out there that are just waiting to get in to this, and they see the culture out there. They see the want to win, the drive to win. They see the good times with friends. And my shout out is to them, and I hope that in the future that they will align their tournaments to having players that are driven to win, that are driven to have a good time. They're bonded together, and they do that together. And I hope that from now, like years from now, that I'm 70, just hanging out in the beer gardens and watching these kids have a really nice time playing together. And I appreciate all the LWO maniacs out there that are training hard, eating their vitamins, saying their prayers, hoping that they can play for the LWO. I've seen kids with bear masks on, flying the flags, and one day for them, it will come true for them. And the bottom line is Chris McDonald says it the best. This is a chosen family, and at some time in your life, you find a good group of people like this. That's your chosen family, and you play together. So that's my shout out to the LWO maniacs out there.
Big shout out there, Adamizer. You were fired up. I love it, and I love the thought of the next generation.
Max is in there.
Max was in there. He opened the show tonight 3 hours ago. Scotty, over to you for your shout out.
I guess I can go with. I have to do two. I'm sorry. The first one has to be Rich Stewart. He's amazing. Doesn't get mentioned enough. Because I don't think I've ever seen him play soccer before, but he's always there. And he's the first person I always see when we walk into Don Cherry's. He buys a ton of stuff, like a bunch of drinks for me, and just makes sure I have a really good time. And I never reciprocate, and I will never in the future. So hope he knows that that's the relationship. But there's also, I have to give a little one out to the Rock's mom. The Rock's mom is an amazing person. She has been the subject of countless terrible, terrible jokes from the early to mid 2000s. But you know what? She's a super lady. She's got extremely soft hands, like Lanlin or Sheep's Wool. God. She's just an amazing lady. So the Rock's mom has to be the other shout out.
Great. I love it. And some good shout outs this week, gentlemen. My shout out this week goes to a guy who he sometimes gets a bad rap, and sometimes that might be deserved and sometimes it might not be. But I think like just a really caring, legitimate dude, a member of the 76ers. He organizes the pre-parties to LWO Radio. And if you haven't been a part of that, get a link from him. The post-rap parties this guy's involved in. A guy with really short denim shorts. and a guy that I really appreciate having in my life, and that's Jason Bremner.
Yes.
He doesn't always get the respect, but a guy that I would like to shout out. And I think we, just by the fact that we all held up our hands there, it just shows the impact that Bremner has had on all of us. So
I didn't.
Yeah, well, 4 out of 5 isn't bad. That's 80%.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Bremner, and all to you, fellow 76er. Peace out to you. Right. Well, listen, at a balmy, at a very quick 3:05, a very quick 3:05. The content was there, gentlemen. And sometimes, when you've got content, alcohol, and an audience, you just got to go with it. That's the golden triangle of podcasting, as everyone knows. And as everyone knows, I just made that up. Listen, I've got nothing else to do but to thank my guests and basically close the show. So big thanks to you, RG. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Holla.
Absolutely. Perry, hair is in fine form. I think it might be a drinking game for those that watch this episode in the future. Just watching how many times your hair changes during the episode, you will get seriously intoxicated if you drink.
Yeah, it's windy here. Windy and heavy. Yeah.
Very windy.
Where's the barber beefcake you?
Thank you for joining us, Perry. Adamizer, fantastic. As usual. Do you have a safe ride home, Adamizer?
Well, you know what? To be honest, I'm just hanging out in my parking lot, like right in front of the house. So all I've got to do is try and find my way out of the van into the house. And if I can do that, I'm okay. So
it's been legitimately noted that Sneeze Puker has not reared his ugly head back there.
We've not had a sneeze speaker, and that's just to say that Benny Stanchfield does not need to be in the front seat of the ride. And Ryan Glanville can prove that from his time in Kolomica. So there we go.
There you go.
Hey, big shout out to LWO legends near and far. All the best to all you boys. May long weekend. Obviously wish I could give you a hug, but here's a big hug regardless. Yeah.
Look at that cleavage. So good.
Love you, boys.
Got a little crotch cam in there as well. Well said, Perry. Well said, boys. Scotty, as usual, you've been a legend. Thank you for keeping us honest here on LWO Radio.
I have to pee more than anything else in the world, so it's been an honor to be here.
Fantastic. And of course, legends, it's been my absolute pleasure to walk us through the 2019 Dual Championships. What an epic moment in LWO history. What an epic moment in all of our lives. And as sad as it is that we could not be there this weekend, I can firmly say that LWO Radio doesn't happen if everything was normal. So with that, all I can do is close the show. I can wish you all well. Stay safe. Join us next week. It'll be the last episode. I love you all, legends, near and far. I miss you terribly, especially on this weekend. All I'm going to say now is, you know it, and stay legendary.